The Fan.
All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080. The Fan. Live on YouTube, the Odyssey app, 1080 a.m. at 9:01 a.m.
What is happening?
Good morning.
You got your nice little work computer update yesterday. Seems like
did.
it's functioning well.
Yeah.
Everything's working properly.
Eastern time zone now.
Hey, this is great.
Show's
dude.
over.
Hey, all right. Hey, coming up tomorrow. What do you guys want to get to tomorrow? We talk about the games tonight. It's going to be a great little show. See you on Thursday.
It's always encouraging when you get these updates, these laptop updates. We got these big company, mandates. Hey, you got to update everything. So I did it yesterday. I picked it up this morning. Had no laptop yesterday, which I felt naked.
Yeah, you do feel naked without the computer in your hands.
And I picked it up, opened it up, and Eastern time zone. Okay, let's change that. Nope, you're not an admin. You can't do it.
You don't have the ability to do that.
It's my laptop.
Who do you think you are?
What am I supposed to do here?
You have no authority around here to go around changing times on a laptop. Come on, man.
Not great. I felt really bad for Canada's very own Alexander Ovechkin yesterday, losing at home in the playoffs.
Canada's very own Alexander Ovechkin had a tough home loss in Game 1 of the second round of the series.
That's brutal.
That's brutal for a Canadian legend and a Canadian hero.
They must have been so sad to watch him lose yesterday.
He's going to go into the Canada Hall of Fame, I'd imagine, at this point, because he's Canadian and he's an incredible hockey player. And so when you're an incredible hockey player from Canada, you go into the Canadian Hall of Fame. That's what happens.
Oh, devastating. Just devastating.
Dude, I was one goal away from hitting the Tuesday parlay of the day. I was feeling great.
How many legs on that thing?
It was
did you
4
have?
legs. So I had
legs.
Pacers plus 7.5, I
Yep.
think was the line. Whatever, doesn't matter. They won the game.
Yep.
I had Hurricanes money line on the road.
There you go.
They came back and won in overtime. I had the Warriors plus whatever their points were. They
Yep.
won the game outright. And I had the over of 6.5
And it
in
ended at
Edmonton,
6.
and it ended at 6. They had 90 seconds or so at the end of the game with an empty net, and it was 4-2. And I'm like, dude, I just need a net. Just give me one. Give me one empty net goal. And they couldn't find a way to do it.
I just love that the hockey and the basketball has kind of made you back into a football level degenerate.
I mean, it's
again.
fun. Every day you just put a little bit of action on a 4-game parlay. It's fun. You don't win many of them, but when you do, it makes it all worth it, man.
I will tell you, I had basketball practice yesterday, and if there's one thing I've learned about being a youth basketball coach,
Yes.
is that I can always go home. I cannot feel amazing about me as a coach,
Right.
but then I can turn my TV on and I can see that an NBA Coach of the Year struggles to get his team to even properly inbound the ball.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little bit better,
Made me
doesn't it?
feel so much better.
That's the way I feel as a golfer whenever you turn on a tournament at any level and you see somebody shank a shot or duff a chip or barely hit a putt. It's like when you see somebody hit a shot that you hit on a random Tuesday afternoon when it's 80 degrees and you want to go play golf, it makes you feel so much better about, like, that guy is one of the best in the world. And he just did something that I do like 7 times around.
You feel
It's
like Leo.
Hey, that's me.
Me.
I know I've hit
Me.
that shot before. I know that feeling. You just duffed a chip. I know how that goes. It does. It makes you feel more. When you see them be human, it makes you feel great. I couldn't believe that ending, and I feel like I do this a lot, especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a moment to be thankful for and say thank God for YouTube TV for 2 different reasons. One, the split screen this time of year is clutch. Like, I don't have the ability, and I'm like watching a kid, I don't have 3 screens going at the same time. So it gives you the ability to watch both.
Okay.
Whenever you're out and you don't have the chance, like you, for example, you're at basketball practice last night.
Right.
Cavs Pacers was one of the craziest endings I've ever seen in an NBA playoff game.
Yep.
Like, just what is that? I texted you guys first, and nobody was responding, so it was nice she was on the other foot because you were at practice and Swag was, of course, working. And I was worried they weren't going to cover the spread with like a minute to go. It was like a 7-point game. I'm like, they're not going to cover. If they don't
hit that 3 and
like,
you're
dude,
like, yep, there it is.
how dare you be this close the entire game and you're not going to cover the number? What the hell, Indiana? Let alone I didn't think they were going to outright win. But if you just DVR or record a game, you have the ability to go back and just watch the key plays. And it'll show you everything that you need to know in like a little 7-minute chunk highlight video. And it's fantastic. I was on a walk in the park watching the end of that game on my phone, yelling as people were looking at me like, what's this weirdo yelling about? Like, you don't understand. The Cavs can't inbound a ball right now. I'm kind of freaking out. This is wild.
There's no doubt. And I do love that the multi-view option is there. I realized that I left not that far away from that collapse.
So then you come back and you turn it on. It's like resume from last watch.
Yeah,
if you wanna
basically
do
was that situation.
It's
and then I
perfect.
just fast forwarded through free throws and commercials.
Yeah, you jump up and boom, there you are. You're at the end of the game.
I was worried I was going to be going to bed at like 11:30 last night because I was going to miss the first half of the Wolves game.
You're trying to catch up on everything.
But then thankfully, like I went back, I sped through that, and then I sped right through the end of that Pacer game. So I didn't end up going to bed too late. But
first half of Golden State, Minnesota, you didn't miss squat.
The one thing I would say about that, though, is
they score 11 points in the second quarter.
My DVR is weird. I have every playoff game programmed to record.
Yes, automatically.
But if I go to the library at the standard page and I go like most recent, nothing pops up except like old NFL games.
That's a little weird. That's a little strange.
But if I type the team name in, boom.
Then it shows up.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's like you just recorded that 20 minutes ago. Why is that not in the new recording?
Should be in the most recent recording. There should be a simple fix right here.
Yeah.
Well, first world problems. There you go.
I know.
At least we caught up. Hell of a night last night.
It was a hell of a night. It was a great night.
How'd practice go? We feeling good about the squad?
You know, I don't know. When you coach, like, you just question everything you're doing, and then if they don't do something properly, you're like, I'm terrible. I don't know how to convey messages.
Is this my fault? Why can't they pick up what I'm trying to put down here?
We got our second tournament this weekend, and we signed up for a certain level, and I don't even know if we'll play that level. We might play better level. I don't know. The girls are great. Their attitudes are great. They
They're
work
having fun,
hard,
right? They're out hooping in the spring.
But I'm like, yo, we've practiced this 80 times. Why are we not doing this?
We've gone through this a ton.
And I just question everything every single day. I'm not even Mike. I'm not a serious coach in any way.
Yeah.
I don't get paid for this. Nothing like if I lose, nothing's going to happen to me.
You're doing it for fun and for love.
And I'm spending all of my available minutes when I'm not doing show stuff just like, oh, how do I make a better? Oh, are we going to lose?
You're drawing up plays on napkins, pick and roll plays.
You can't really do that. No, it's tournament ball. You don't really do plays.
You just got to go out there, roll it out. Pick and roll. Just go do something. Move, set a screen.
Well, the tournament thing, it was an interesting experience because you just see so many different parents. The parents of these things. Like, uber serious.
Yeah.
One parent had like a full menu of food. Like, it's time for you to eat this. You got to get your carbs, your proteins right now. And then the second game, it was like, all right, now you're going to go a little lighter. We're going to do a little protein here. And it's just like, some of these parents are pros.
What are they running, an ultra marathon here? They're playing basketball games.
They kind of get it.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Like, come on, what are you?
So I don't know. It's Mother's Day weekend. I'm getting my wife a gift. I got her 2 gifts. But she's not excited about them because I'm a terrible gift giver.
Yeah, she knows you're going to fall short.
So that's Sunday, and then Saturday is just like 2 basketball games.
It's basketball all day.
It's basketball.
We're having fun.
It's basketball.
Sounds like you're having a great time. Things are going wonderful. The idea of coaching young kids when you've done a sport for a long time and you know the ins and outs, and it's clearly knowledge in your head about how to do things and handle situations, and trying to impart that on them would be very frustrating.
Yeah. Because
there's the feeling of like, why don't you get it? This isn't that complicated. Like, how do you not pick this up? How do you not understand this? And you have to remind yourself, like, I'm a little bit older. I've been doing this for a long time.
Well, and then my daughter will let me know because, I'm the dad and she's the kid and she's playing and she'll be like, I feel like when you do this as the coach, this is how it translates to us.
You're getting the critique at home on the way back from practice.
Yeah, I give her a note, and then somehow I'm getting a note back, too.
Dad, you're going to have to work on this, okay? Your whistles are a little too aggressive.
You rolled your eyes when we didn't run something right. Like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, you should start clapping your hands, slamming the floor, pick up the tempo. What are we doing?
I'm somewhere between J.J. Redick as a coach.
Okay.
And whoever you would classify as the most calm-mannered coach.
Ooh, who would be the most calm-mannered coach in the NBA?
I don't know who that would be. Maybe Scott Rueck. I don't feel like I watched Scott Rueck get animated much at his team.
Doesn't yell a ton.
He'll yell at the refs once in a while.
Yeah.
But I'm somewhere between J.J. Redick and Scott Rueck in terms of temperament as a coach.
I always felt like Terry Stotts was kind of that way during his time in Portland.
That's a good one.
He seemed pretty laid back.
Yelled at a coach or yelled at the refs, but he didn't yell at his players all that much.
Yell at Nurkic because he sucked.
Myers Leonard, he hated.
He would holler at Myers.
Famously hated Myers Leonard.
Like, what are you doing? Same thing. I've been teaching this. You've been here for 5 years, man. You're an NBA player. How have you not picked this up yet? This isn't that complicated.
But sometimes I want to call a timeout and just scream like, "What are you guys doing? Nothing we've worked on."
Can you get away with that now in coaching? Because that was the way my youth basketball coach was. He hollered at us all the time.
I feel like you can do
Running
it.
gassers, screaming at the
Yeah.
top of his lungs. I'm like, I'm in 3rd grade, man.
I feel like you could do it in a more constructive way with the kids. You
Yeah.
don't have to be quite as mean
You
about
don't have
it.
to scream. I remember a Pop Warner football coach. We used to do the little leg raisers, whatever you call those, when you're laying on your back and you lift your legs
Those
up.
were surprisingly hard in football gear.
They were incredibly hard in football
Because
gear.
I was a weak core. I was a little skinny, scrawny
Yeah.
kid with no muscle.
You're in 6th grade, man. I can't lift my legs up. And it's like 100 degrees in August. And you're like, why am I doing this? I don't play for the Cleveland Browns. And he'd walk around and like stand on our stomachs while we would do it. Like, how is this
Whoa.
allowed? Yeah, it was a thing, man.
Like 1 foot stand up?
Yeah, I mean, not full weight. He's not jumping on your stomach, but he'd get, we're working out our abs. Let's see how hard they are. Like, dude, I am 9 years old right now. I don't think I have abs.
It's really funny to think about different coaches I had as a kid because I had some good coaches, some, good temperament coaches.
Oh, for sure. You always remember the great ones.
Also had a lot of red asses.
Yeah.
And you just look back now as a child and you went, man, you really needed therapy so bad.
You needed a little bit of that.
But instead you went to football practice and you grabbed us by our face masks and you threw us to the ground as if we weren't children.
That's how you took all of your anger issues out.
Yeah, basically,
on
yeah.
7th graders who weren't properly running a toss sweep play. Why did you pull?
Little Timmy here, he's going to stand at the 5-yard line. You go at the goal line. Timmy's going to start running. When Timmy runs, you guys are all going to gang tackle him. What's the point of this drill?
Okay.
Timmy missed his blocking assignment. Seems like Timmy's going to get hurt, coach.
I mean, saying you're half J.J. Redick, half Mike Riley.
Yeah, that
You go,
you know what? That's
if you allow
great
a
one.
different sport, Mike
There
Riley
we
is
go.
the most laid-back coach of all time.
Now, Riley could get intense at moments. I saw it in
Yeah.
glimpses.
Really nice guy. Do you know that?
But it was always like a, Watchy Willikers, Sean Mannion.
What are you doing, Sean?
You got to throw the out a little quicker than that. That was mad
I
Mike
still love
Riley.
you, buddy. You're
Yeah.
a great kid.
I think that's a perfect comp. I think I'm wedged between mentally.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm acting like JJ Redick.
sure.
But realistically, if you saw me, I'd be more Mike Riley.
All right.
All right.
Let's
there.
have a good practice today, girls.
Yes.
Let's work hard, okay?
On the baseline.
All right. Time to get going now.
That's a great comp. That's exactly who I am.
We need to get Mike Riley to one of your basketball games.
I
What's Mike
need,
Riley up to these days? Is he still coaching in that random football league?
I don't know if he's not in that league.
Not in that league anymore?
I think he's just, he
just being Mike Riley?
lost his wife recently, so I think
Yeah.
he's just living his Corvallis life,
Just
paying
hanging
attention
out.
to
Yeah,
his
that
kids and
league.
grandkids.
Well, the two leagues morphed into one.
They did?
Yeah, there were two
So
spring
there's
leagues
not an
there.
Is it the AFL?
It's the UFL.
What about the X League or
Yeah, that all
what's the one The
merged
Rock did?
That was
together.
yeah.
There was the XFL,
XFL,
and the
XFL.
USFL,
And they merged?
and I think there's just one spring league now, the UFL.
I didn't know the UFL and the XFL had sex, and now
Yeah.
they've got a baby.
They got a baby.
Yeah,
Spring football.
How's that going?
Sometimes I'll randomly
it's going on
watching
right
now?
now. How much you watching?
I have sometimes occasionally we'll have like something will be on Fox and then I'll turn my TV off and then you go back later in the day and it's like the channel that you
Yeah.
were on last and I'll be like, what is this?
Yeah.
And you randomly stumble upon it and then I change the channel as fast as humanly possible.
It is. It's gone down in ratings substantially this season.
I am
Even though Fox
shocked.
and ESPN are airing the games,
They
like,
are. They're on network. I mean,
if
it's
you're
on big
watching
time sports
ESPN
networks.
baseball, you'll usually get a promo for it coming up.
Look,
Stumble on a game.
there's a lot of things we should be embarrassed about as citizens of our fine nation. I don't know if anything tops knowing the UFL is getting 600,000 people to watch those games.
600,000.
What is wrong with you people?
600,000.
Rewatch tape of your highlight, glory, or go
Yeah,
watch
just-
old college football.
Go back,
games.
watch old college football. Go to the NFL Network. They're
Why
showing
would you watch
old,
that league?
I don't know.
I got nothing for
The
you.
Dominators,
I don't know.
The Skyhawks.
the Gay Stallions.
I got nothing for you. That would be a hell of a name, though.
Dude, like a badass looking stallion with
Yeah.
like a rainbow mane.
A rainbow mane. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be a hell of a
Who'd you
name.
lose? The Gay Stallions beat us
Dude,
today.
you want to make a lot of money in merch sales? That's going to make a lot of money in merch sales.
Hell yeah, it would.
Like the Eugene Emeralds. Remember they did their exploding whales for a week?
Yeah, that
they
was
made
a good
like
idea.
$1 million. John Oliver did a shout out for him a week or two ago. They made like $1 million extra in revenue sales because everybody wanted to go buy exploding whale hats and T-shirts.
Yeah, the Birmingham Stallions.
Oh, the
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Dude, could you imagine Birmingham's reaction if you called them the gay stallions?
I don't know if 600,000 people in Birmingham are watching that game anymore. I think they might turn that one off.
How would Alabama respond to having a team?
The hell's this?
The gay stallion.
I'm not watching that team. I'm out. That's the breaking point for spring football. That's a bridge too far.
Is that where you?
That's, I mean, come on. We
In
can't-
Alabama?
Yeah, you can't do that. We're all in on spring football until you go that way.
You know, the Bible says. What does it say about stallions? Enlighten me, Bob.
What book is that in? I didn't read that one.
All right, well, let's get it going. We got a lot to get to today. There's
We
a
do.
lot on the plate. Got a lot of stats. Got a stat story Wednesday.
Ooh.
I got an interesting stat. I want to start the next segment with you, and it involves what happened last night. So we'll start there. Dirt and Sprague, it is good to be with you. We get going next on The Fan. Wednesday show with something from yesterday. So Indiana comes back at the end and beats Cleveland in one of the crazier sports endings, not just basketball, sports.
Doesn't make sense. I still haven't been able to process how that happened.
Oh, we talked about it on our Great Notion pregame today about how nuts the basketball was last night.
And we knew it was crazy because it was wild, and we set it up on the show today.
I want to ask you this trivia question. Can you name the last NBA Coach of the Year to win the NBA championship? Kenny Atkinson just won this award.
The last time the Coach of the Year won the NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy.
It's one of those weird awards that goes to the usual overachieving coach.
Similar to the NFL where it's like, you know.
Hey, we didn't expect you to be good. You're good.
Andy Reid doesn't win a lot of these. It's the Kevin Stefanski's got multiple.
Yes.
O'Connell's got multiple.
The NFL Coach of the Year one is stuck deep in my craw. I just like why Kyle Shanahan has never won one, but I digress.
I mean, the way that you're setting this up makes me feel like there's a tie-in to the game last night, but maybe that's not the case because Rick Carlisle has won an NBA championship, but I don't know if he was the Coach of the Year.
Rick Carlisle has won an NBA Coach of the Year. Can you tell me what team?
Oh. Was it Indiana? Was it Dallas? Who could it have been?
Nope.
Where the hell else did he coach? I don't remember. Where else was Rick Carlisle?
It was before Dallas.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to answer that.
There's not even one team guess?
No, I got nothing on Rick Carlisle.
He won it in 02 with Detroit.
Yeah, who could forget Rick Carlisle coaching the Detroit Pistons?
Okay.
I mean, just glued to that back in the day. I mean, God, firm memories there. Steve Kerr would probably be the name that popped into my mind first.
Steve Kerr, that's a great guess. Didn't do it. Blew the finals in 2016.
That's right.
Year.
They would have been the 73-win team was the year he was probably Coach of the Year.
That is correct.
And then he didn't get the benefit of the doubt when he had, an unbeatable basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Mazzulla, I'm assuming didn't win it last year.
No, he did not. It was Mark Daignault.
I mean, yeah.
Thunder did not win the title.
What's it with this? Is like almost turning into like the old Sports Illustrated curse. You don't want your team to be on the cover of it in college football. I don't want my coach to be Coach of the Year, dude. That guy's out in the second round. Cleveland's down 0-2 this year. This seems like it's a bad trend. I'm out of guesses. How far back are we going?
We are going back to 2014. Greg Popovich and the Spurs.
Popovich, okay.
Budenholzer, Kerr, D'Antoni, Casey, Budenholzer again, Nurse, Thibodeau, Williams, Brown, Daignault, and we'll see what happens with Kenny Atkinson.
Down 0-2.
As the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had a remarkable year, are now down 0-2. Here's a fun fact for you as I block my way through some stats here.
You got this one. Easy throw to first.
Only 5 teams in NBA history rallied to win a series after losing the first 2 at home.
Doesn't happen very often because you got to go on the road now. They're without 3 of their key guys out of the lineup last night. That one is going to be very emotionally hard to overcome. They had no business losing that game.
I don't know how they lost it.
They led the entire, they're up by 17 at the end of the first quarter. Indiana came out of the gate flat. Cleveland was on fire. You got the vintage Donovan Mitchell performance that you desperately needed to carry you offensively. He got to the free throw line a ton. Like he was a dominant force last night.
He was also super gassed at the end, and
as
great as he was,
ended up having some turnovers and some
offense fouls.
Yes.
Like he kind of wet the bed a little bit at the very, very end, but I can't blame everything on him because
he had 48 points and 9 assists and 5 rebounds. And
yes,
without him offensively, and especially considering who they were without in the starting lineup, that's a game, though, that you win 99.9 times out of 100 in that situation. When you're up by 7 with under a minute to go, it's insane because Indiana literally just did this, last week against Milwaukee. So they know how to figure this stuff out. They know how to come back in these games. They don't ever give up. And as it's happening, you're almost thinking, all right, this is getting a little tight and uncomfortable, and then it just another play unravels, and then there's a turnover, and then you can't inbounds the ball, or they miss 2 free throws, but then they get the putback dunk on. Like, everything that needed to go wrong for Cleveland went wrong in order for Indiana to win this game.
Here was the radio call by both Cleveland and Indiana. Let's start with the losers. Here is the Cleveland radio call of Halliburton's step-back 3 that he hit with 1.1 left on the clock to give the Pacers the lead.
Halliburton missed the second, but the rebound's grabbed by Halliburton. Halliburton brings it out front. Indiana can play for the tie or the win. Halliburton, 2 on the clock. 3, got it! Merrill. Half-court shot blocked. And Indiana has won this game in unbelievable, stunning fashion.
That's the Cavs radio call. Let's go to the other side where Halliburton got his own rebound.
4 seconds to go. Halliburton for three. Three ball up top. Indiana by 1 and 1/10 seconds to go. Inbound. Merrill didn't get it off. And this rivals the Milwaukee finish.
You have got to be kidding me.
I love that we have on both sides. You've got to be kidding me.
That was sad tissues followed by happy tissues in the outcome of the game last night.
You know, it's fascinating. I don't know where you'd want to go on which side. Cleveland having the season they had. I was called a casual yesterday by somebody in my orbit.
Oh.
On a conversation I was having about these playoffs, how they've taken on a March Madness vibe. Kenny Atkinson gave his thoughts. I want to get to that on the other side. That player who hit that shot, responding to something that came out at the very end of the regular season, and since he has been totally in the right, and we need to go back and redo that player poll, because, my God, have you motivated that man? And just the madness that has been the NBA playoffs, the Warriors, they just go into Minnesota and thump Minnesota like
Without
okay.
Steph Curry. Steph Curry plays 13 minutes.
Played 13 minutes.
Who cares?
Out.
See you later.
No big deal.
And we just dominated the entire basketball game.
So
like we all saw coming.
We got to talk about that as well. So there's a lot going on in the NBA playoffs. Let's get to it next. But first, Swag with the Sports Update.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, road teams remain perfect in the conference semifinal round of the NBA playoffs. Beginning in Cleveland, the Cavs playing without Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter could not hold a 7-point lead in the final minute, allowing Tyrese Halliburton to rebound his own missed free throw, hit the game-winning three with a second to go for the 120-119 win. They take a 2-0 series lead home to Indy for games 3 and 4. Then in Minnesota, Steph Curry had 13 points in his first 13 minutes before leaving the game with a strained hamstring, only to have his teammates pick him up for the 99-89 win. As the Timberwolves missed their first 16 three-point attempts, Buddy Hield led the way with 24 points. Tonight, Celtics trying to even things up with the Knicks hosting Game 2, 4 p.m. on TNT. They are 10.5-point favorites. At 6:30 in OKC, the Thunder try to bounce back against the Nuggets as 11-point favorites, also on TNT. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting this morning the Cowboys are finalizing a trade to acquire wide receiver George Pickens from the Steelers for their third-round draft pick next year. The teams will swap future picks in 2027, Dallas's 5th round for Pittsburgh's 6th round. Portland Timbers got a pair of goals in the final 15 minutes on the road in Tacoma, avoiding disaster in the U.S. Open Cup for a 3-2 win over the Defiants. Timbers now advance to the round of 16. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube.
Would you care to guess how many points in the paint the Pacers had in the fourth quarter?
They scored, 36, I think, in the fourth quarter.
Correctamundo.
How many of them came in the paint? I'll guess 24.
You're very close, 26.
26, yeah.
Can you tell me any time in your life where a team has scored 26 points in the paint in the fourth quarter?
No.
Exactly.
Can't think of many times.
Not since maybe Shaq.
What would be more frustrating for you guys? I guess the collective is the answer here. If this was us, if that was Portland last night, we had a
away
64 win season.
Yeah.
We blew game one. We were shorthanded, and we blew a 20-point lead. If that's us, what's pissing you off a little more than the other stuff? The free throw not boxing out
multiple times,
or the not being able to inbound the basketball.
Not boxing out on the free throw.
Yeah, because that's just effort. I mean, allowing how many times do you see putback dunks on a missed free throw?
Did the Neesmith putback, did he have a violation there? Because he looked like he was close to the free throw line.
It was close, but still, like a putback in the NBA, that's just
you can call a lane violation on nearly every free throw attempt.
No, I know. I'm just asking.
Especially after a highlight like that. Like, you're not going to, let's swallow the whistle on that one. Then they had to check and see if it was in the cylinder, and they're like, no, it wasn't in the cylinder. He just wedged Donovan Mitchell to the ground, and then that led to the offensive foul the very next inbound. As somebody who watched his team lose a Final Four game, not boxing out, it's pretty rough.
Here was Kenny Atkinson, Coach of the Year, on the Cavs blowing a 7-point lead in the last minute.
Love how they competed. I love how they fought. Down 2 all-stars, DeAndre. We outplayed them for most of the game. We ran out of gas. We couldn't really separate ourselves. We couldn't get open in the half court. My only regret, Dan, is not playing more guys. We shortened the rotation. Obviously, that's my sole regret. But I loved how we competed. We played our basketball, our identity. Just tough one.
Very tough one there. As he let you know there.
Hey, you know it's a tough one when you blow a 20-point lead and series should be tied 1-1. You didn't have 3 starters.
I was at the Hops game, and so I looked down. I saw the starting lineup, and it was Wade, Jerome, and
their 6-man was in the starting lineup.
And I started having just the Rick Pitino. I'm playing 4 white guys.
I got
and
white
guys.
This is what you're left with. You don't have many choices here.
Got Jerome and Wade in my lineup.
Nice little depth bench players, but now you're leaning on them in the starting lineup. It's a little bit different.
Well, before the season had ended, The Athletic did a player poll, an anonymous one at that, and Tyrese Halliburton was voted as the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers.
He was.
And this has not since aged well. He had those Bucks games in that series. Obviously, his dad became a bit of a talking point. And now he's had back-to-back games against Cleveland. Yesterday, he was being basically outshined by Donovan.
Yeah, the entire game.
90% of the way.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell was clearly the best player on the floor yesterday.
And then when it mattered the most, Halliburton went all Sam Cassell on us. My wife said, what does that mean, what he's doing? I said, balls. Big balls. And she thought that was pretty funny. Here was Halliburton on the crowd chanting overrated at him during this game.
That one was unexpected. I didn't know we had beef, but yeah, I guess good for them, man. That came out of nowhere, but it's just, I think now that label's there, that's what it's going to be every time we play somebody. Every time on the road, he'll probably follow me until the next poll comes out, and then we'll see if I'm number 1 again. But, for me, I just control what I can, man. And, overrate that.
Karl Anthony Towns, Tyrese Halliburton. We don't know their real voice. It changes all the time.
Every time he does an interview, he sounds completely
different.
Sometimes
high-pitched, sometimes super low.
Like, where did that come from? Look, you're still overrated, okay? Player poll wasn't wrong.
No, he's not.
You hit a big shot. Good, congrats on hitting a big shot.
We have to say this. You don't have to like him. He's not overrated.
He averaged 17 a game in the Milwaukee series.
Yeah. Did he hit big shots in big moments?
Shot 26% from 3 in the series.
Look, there's a little bit of this with Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has not been a sensational regular season player. But when it matters,
he's good.
Jamal Murray has largely delivered for the Denver Nuggets. So I was talking about this because I don't know what to make of it. We like to have a lot of fun on the show about basketball dirt, right? And so far, you're off to a nice little start here in
Feeling
NBA
great.
playoff betting.
Feeling fantastic.
But what I was talking with Gundy, and we're hoping to have Gundy on next week during the draft lottery show. I was talking with him of just like, I've kind of, as a fan, felt like the regular season is it's becoming a little overrated.
Yeah.
Not in you don't need to watch, or I'm not going to watch anymore. You can get people who half watch basketball and they'll make predictions, and they'll be better predictions than the people who did watch basketball. And we'll see what the Thunder do today in responding to their game 1 loss. But I just don't know how you equate for some of this stuff. That last night with that game in Minnesota, it's the first time in league history that round has started with all 4 road teams winning the first game.
It's an insane start to the second round of the playoffs.
So, like, you can say, because Gundy was like, oh, people who thought Wolves in 5 are casuals. And I'm like, yo, I have League Pass. I watch the NBA. I just thought it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
And his thing is, I took the Wolves too, but it's, the pedigree, all that, yada, yada, yada. So I took a little bit of an exception to that, but I see where he's coming from, I guess, to a certain extent. But I think the playoffs has actually been more March Madness than traditional NBA playoffs. And so I'm sitting here going, everything I've seen and watched, that Cavs team is awesome.
Yeah.
And I know they were missing Garland and Mobley and Hunter. They were up 20. They were 7 with a minute left. You can't lose that game. I'm watching Minnesota just throw up all over themselves at home as Steph Curry plays 13 minutes, and it doesn't matter because Draymond Green has 4 first half threes.
Just out of nowhere.
So,
a guy who you leave open the entire game.
It's not that the regular season doesn't matter at all. We could still end up having a lot of chalk at the end.
Sure.
It's that at this point, I have no other view than to just go into every single game now from here on out and say, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the Knicks do go up 2-0. Who am I to say it won't happen?
Yeah, I mean, on the Halliburton note, he's not overrated. Probably isn't the right word. But I also like just pulling up his playoff game logs in his career. He has 2 30-point playoff games in his career. Now he's not been in the NBA that long. They haven't been in the playoffs.
Do you measure it by total points?
I mean, I'm not saying he can't hit a big shot, but I just like the Jamal Murray comparison is almost a little unfair to me to Jamal Murray. Like Jamal Murray's had times where he's had 50-point games, 40-point games where he's like. He carried the team all night.
Who's the second best player for the Pacers? If Halliburton's the first, who do you think is the second?
Probably Siakam.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, I think you could debate if Siakam's the best player on their team,
and
to be
Jamal
honest
Murray's
with you.
teammate is?
I mean, it's Jokic. I'm not comparing the running mate. That's why Jamal Murray has a championship. I'm not saying Tyrese Halliburton's overrated because he hasn't won a title. I don't watch him as this dominant force come playoff time. And Jamal Murray has had incredible runs in the playoffs where he's had back-to-back like 35-point games where he's just gone on absolute heaters. And Tyrese Halliburton's only done it twice in his entire playoff career.
So should I do a poll question? Who is the better player, Murray or Halliburton?
Yeah, you can fire that off.
Really?
I mean, that's not even close in my mind, but I'll be curious to see where people vote on.
Wow.
Like, he gets more favorable defensive matchups. There's no doubt about that, but Jokic is also a big, so it's not like you're taking away a primary guard defender to guard Jokic. He's a big is going to guard him. On the other note, though, like I do think there's almost a cautionary tale to me that ties back here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that when you're a team who doesn't have maybe championship aspirations isn't the right word, but you're basically kind of a little engine that you're working hard night in and night out throughout the course of the regular season. The reality of the NBA 82-game slate is that you're going to get teams who take a night off. Mm-hmm. Because they just don't care. They're on the second of a back-to-back. They partied last night. Hey, we were in L.A. or we were in New York last night. Now we're in town. We don't really care about being here. We're going to half-ass it. You're just going to have nights like that in the regular season. You're going to have nights where teams are sitting star players. That happened a lot to Portland this year. And if you're just a team that plays hard the majority of the time in the regular season,
you win.
You're going to win a handful of games that, that's the better team, but you just outworked them tonight. The difference is come playoff time, that doesn't happen. You can't just outwork a team in the NBA playoffs. Talent usually wins out.
Yeah.
Not always, but usually. And so I do think sometimes you get this misleading read occasionally on the regular season where you feel a certain way about a team, but when push comes to shove and it comes down to a 7-game series where I know everything that you're going to do, I know every strength you have, every weakness you have, we're only game planning for you. We don't have a game tomorrow night in Denver or a game tomorrow night in San Antonio. It's you for 7 straight games. It just is such a completely different ball game. The March Madness comp, I think, is perfect. Now we got to wait and see how the rest of these series go.
Yes.
Like one win, I know Indiana's up 2-0.
Yeah.
One win is great. I think it's an awesome start to the second round. For all we know, Minnesota could win 4 in a row. OKC could win 4 in a row. And
New York
Boston
wins
could win
tonight.
4 in a row.
Imagine, though, coming
I'm
into
rooting
the
for it to happen.
Same here.
I want Denver to win tonight,
same.
and I want New York to win tonight. I love the chaos.
I talked so much S to a friend of mine who's a diehard Knicks fan. They won game 1. He goes, I know you guys saw that Knicks game. I'm rooting for myself to be way wrong because I can't imagine the panic that will set in Boston, Massachusetts if the Celtics are down 2-0 to the Knicks.
Yeah.
And Jaylen Brown's hurt.
Jaylen Brown's banged up.
Poll questions up. Who's the better player, Murray or Halliburton? You talk about what happened in the regular season and two teams. Boy, what happened in Minnesota last night?
Jesus, man. That was ugly.
Mr. Trash Talk, care to show up in the first half of a game?
Where you at, MJ? Are we not going to play? Like that was a horrible watch last night.
A unpredictable result, given everything that happened, especially with an injury and how that injury might linger to impact one of the teams. We'll talk about that next on The Fan.
It's
All right, welcome back in. It is 6:49 on the Fan. We got a lot to get to in the second hour. I've got a football segment.
Hell yeah, brother.
We had a trade in the NFL.
We did this morning.
It
Woke
is
up,
now official.
flipped my phone on, and I'm like, oh, look at that. Something to talk about in the NFL. Thank you, Jesus.
I got a college football segment right up Dirt's alley.
Yes,
Is this
sir.
team back?
Are they back? Oh, we got a back team.
Is there a dark horse we should gamble on now in college football?
Ooh, I like what you're doing here.
And is Oregon the new this
Oh.
in college football?
Oh.
Boy, look at me.
The new national champions? Yeah, we are Wolf national champions. Thank you for honoring us.
You
The
did.
parade is soon.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Rings and parade. It's going to happen.
Your coach did win a big award yesterday.
He did. Like
the
a coach.
Gene Stallings Award.
I don't know what that is. Like coach of the year kind of thing?
No,
what is it?
him and his wife were awarded the Gene Stallings Award for
Okay.
on and off the field contributions.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Here's a big shiny trophy.
Nice.
There you go.
There you go.
Last night in Minnesota, I don't know quite what happened, but I do know that it was something that I did not see. Yo!
God.
Jeez.
Easy, Ant.
No kidding.
Dude, 11 points in a quarter in an NBA playoff game should almost be an automatic eliminator.
The game should
like,
be done.
just end it.
Over.
Like, that's like a skunk rule. Like,
the
just
run rule.
go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You scored 11 points in an NBA quarter.
Clearly,
You're an
not
NBA team.
ready to play this game.
With everybody healthy,
So
and you scored 11 points in the second quarter.
There's a lot here. The Warriors just seemingly are now the Spurs and Bulls. Every role guy they get that's good becomes even better. Hey, Andrew Wiggins, been nothing but a bust. Going to be the key figure for us winning a championship. Gary Payton II, projected by nobody to be a good NBA player.
No.
Hey, look at that. Big defensive stopper, key threes in big moments. Hey, Buddy Hield, you can shoot it, but you don't shoot it when you're in Philadelphia. Now you shoot it all the time and you make it. Something about them that annoys me, and I hate when there's certain teams that they just, and I know it's Curry, man. He's Jordan. It's like, that's not it. That's not the answer. But damn it, it does happen a lot.
I mean, he played 13 minutes last night, and they won the game in incredibly easy fashion.
Going away fast.
Away fashion.
I think it got cut to 8 at one point, but it was like,
no.
okay, there's another 3.
Yeah, they would always respond whenever it came relatively close. I had the dual screen going, mostly watching hockey at that point because it was a 2-2 game in the third period, and you're like, all right, they cut it to 9. All right, there's a Golden State bucket to respond. Like, that's the funny part. We did this kind of with Jokic when they won Game 7 in Denver against the Clippers, and you read the stat line and said, if I told you that on Friday, what would your response be? And I'd say, well, there's no chance Denver's going to win that game. But they did. All the role players had really good performances. And if you would have told me yesterday on the show, hey, Steph Curry's going to leave the game after 13 minutes with a hamstring injury, what do you think the final score is in Game 1? Say they probably lose by 15 to 17 points.
Yeah.
Like, no, I maybe they cover, but no chance in hell they're going to win the game, let alone control the game the entire way. Minnesota had a horrible second quarter. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn to save their life. And then Golden State came out hot in the third. Even when Minnesota woke up a little bit offensively, they matched them point for point, and they still outscored them in the third. And so you get that level of production from multiple guys to pick up the slack from what you lost with Curry. I don't know how the rest of the series goes, but that was a if I'm a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, I'm depressed today. That was a really bad way to lose a game. It's one thing to be competitive back and forth and somebody goes for 40 or 50. They scored 31 points in the first half of a playoff game. 31 points in the first half of a game.
Yeah.
How
88
often?
total.
88
I
total.
Mean, 88 in a game is even awful.
At least they went for 29-28 in the third and fourth quarter, but 31 in the first. How many times that happened in the history of the NBA playoffs? You got to go back to when there were plumbers in the league to find 31 in a half.
I think there were some of those Bulls Jazz finals when it was awful.
They were not very high score. Yeah, that's the thing about
I know,
that.
31 though is that's college. That's bad for college basketball.
Swag's right.
86-78 in Game 3
with
or something.
4 minutes to go. That's the score with 4 minutes to go. I just, in rewatching the first half, because I saw the second half, I think I'm just blown away as how lifeless they
just
look.
didn't show up. They didn't seem to care.
You cannot be shirtless on a couch saying, who am I scared of now? I want the Warriors.
And then have no juice when it...
No juice at all. Here was Charles Barkley saying how I'm a big Ant guy. So this kind of pissed me off. Here's Charles Barkley after the Timberwolves lose.
First of all, you bought all this smoke. You said you wanted to smoke. I want the Warriors. and you got him. And you had 1 point at halftime, and his energy level was down. So that to me is what coaching is about. I mean, Shaq's been in this situation. I've been in this situation. When you're the man, you get all the credit, but you get all the blame. That's the way it works. And I like what he did. He said, hey, Anthony's got to play better. You can't come out and talk all that does and have 1 point.
Yeah, here is his coach basically said, everything about us has to do with Ant and the energy and the effort he puts in, and we didn't have it to start the game. Here was Anthony Edwards responding to his coach's comment.
Nah. I feel like I played great defense. I just couldn't do nothing on offense, so.
Thanks for that in-depth answer.
I mean, dude, you cannot have all these quotes.
This happens. You run your mouth. You put a target on your back.
You do. I mean, look, and I'm okay with it. I like athletes largely are cocky. Some of them are just loud cocky, and others are like quietly cocky. Duncan was quietly cocky.
Yeah.
But when you're loud cocky and you say what you say, ain't nobody in the league stopping me. What am I scared of now? Oh, bring it on. I want them. 1 point in the first half?
I mean, it's embarrassing. Just couldn't make a shot to save his life and just had no life offensive.
Most of his stats are stat padding garbage.
At the end of the game.
Honestly.
Yeah, when you're down by 20 in the second half. By the way, so I looked it up. We're going to need to fact check this. So I was just curious, can I find the lowest scoring NBA playoff game for a team in the first half?
Sure.
And that, according to StatMuse, was the 5th lowest scoring first half in playoff history. All the other games have happened since 2016.
Wow.
So maybe this is just, I don't know if it's a recent. So the Suns in 2022 against Dallas was 27 points. That's the lowest. Celtics had a game against Atlanta in 2016 where they scored 28. The Mavs last year against the Clippers had a game where they scored 30 in the first half. The Raptors had a game in 2017 where they scored 30 in the first half against the Bucks, and then that game last night, Minnesota scored 31 in the first half against Golden State.
Now, it should be noted, Curry left 13 minutes. He's got a hamstring strain, and Kerr basically made it sound like Steph was super bummed, which tells me definitely not playing game 2.
Yeah, you get the little bit of extra rest. I think you sit him game 2. You got 2 days, and then the travel day bonus going back to Golden State.
Yeah, but hamstrings are not something you test.
It's finicky.
No.
You got to be confident because the minute you test it, it could pull, it could rip. I don't know what to make of this because, again, every prediction I've had about every game feels like it's been wrong. But it's hard to believe, as bad as Minnesota was, it's hard to believe that Golden State's going to be able to win without Steph.
Yeah, I don't see that happening at all. That reminded me, honestly, the funny thing is Minnesota's already had a game like this in the playoffs. They did it in game 2 in L.A.
Yes, they did.
They just completely no-showed in the first quarter. They steal game 1. They're dominant. They come out in game 2. They were outscored by 20 in the first quarter. And then they outplayed L.A. the rest of the game, but it didn't matter because they couldn't dig themselves out of that hole. They scored 15 points in the first quarter of game 2, and that was the only game of that series that they lost. So I'm not writing any of these teams off that lost the first game of the series. It's just more of a, like, where's the energy? Where's the life, man? You're in the second round of the playoffs. You're taking on Steph. You're taking on Golden State. And just to no-show that way, incredibly frustrating. But Minnesota's done this, and they've responded, and I think they'll do it again in this series.
We have a lot to get to in the second hour. We'll roll on with some NBA playoff chatter. I got a college football segment to get to. Our ticker guest is at 7:30, Ryan Stiles, who does Locked On Rylan Stiles. That's what I said. Why don't you listen better, Riggins? Rylan.
How about those Wowios last night?
Yep.
Hell of a game for them.
Everybody get their bowl of Wowios this morning?
You eat your Wowios?
I did not get my Wowios
No Wowios this morning?
Can we be honest? I was thinking about this, and sometimes I don't know why I think of these things. If I was to make a cereal called the Wowios, it'd be Seth Curry on the box and not Steph.
It would have to be. It would have to be. It's like the knockoff.
With a headband.
Steph.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Is that a Curry? Wait, who? What? That's
Wowios.
They're the ones that come in the bag, not the box.
Yes, it's a knockoff brand, the cheap one.
There's a Wheaties box with Steph as a champ. Wowios in the bag.
Wowios.
Right next to it. I once led the NBA in three-point field goal percentage. Did you know that?
I'm an all-time Blazer.
Are you? Took 4 a game, but man, oh man, I shot almost 50%.
So we'll talk with Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder at 7:30. Hour number 2, Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan, the Odyssey app, and of course, YouTube.
George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. A Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, road teams 5-0 so far in the NBA playoffs conference semifinal round. An improbable comeback in Cleveland by the Pacers, who trailed by 7 points with under a minute to go. Even though Cavaliers was playing without 3 of their regulars, Tyrese Halliburton rebounded his own missed free throw, hit the game-winning 3 with a second left, 120-119 the win. And Indianapolis takes home a 2-0 series lead, hosting games 3 and 4. In Minnesota, Steph Curry had 13 points in his first 13 minutes played, but then he left with a strained hamstring, only to have his teammates pick him up for a 99-89 win in a game where the Timberwolves missed their first 16 three-point attempts. Buddy Hield leading the way with 24 points. Tonight, Celtics trying to even things up with the Knicks, hosting Game 2, 4 o'clock as 10.5-point favorites. At 6:30 in OKC, the Thunder trying to bounce back against the Nuggets. They are 11-point favorites, both games on TNT. The trade earlier reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter is now official. The Dallas Cowboys acquiring wide receiver George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will send back to Pittsburgh a third-round draft pick next year, their fifth-round pick in 2027. Dallas also gets Pittsburgh's sixth-round pick in 2027. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back, the 11th annual
AM The Fan. You can join us live there. We'll hang out. Duval County up on the YouTube.
Duval showing up today.
We will get to a status story at 8:15 today. We've got Rylan Stallings at 7:30 for our ticker. OKC locked
What
on
was
Thunder.
that?
What?
Are you Chuck Knobloch with names now? Once it's in your head,
No, I
you're
didn't
screwed.
memorize it, to
You're
be
screwed
honest
the
with
rest
you.
of the show
Rylan
now.
Styles.
That's what I
Rylan
said.
Styles.
Yeah, well, styles make fights, so we'll see what we have at 7:30.
The intrigue in all of those series has gone up exponentially.
I think
with game
Wowios
ones.
should sit out a day. I think you should be suspended for a day.
That's
The
a valid-
Wowios?
Timberwolves and Warriors.
That's a valid point.
It's just misspeaking.
That's exactly what he's doing.
What did I just do?
He's literally doing the same
What's
thing.
the difference?
Somebody's name. Timberwolves and Warriors.
That's a team name.
Is that a
a
team name?
that's much more well known than a random guy in Oklahoma City who we've never talked to
Don't
before.
go Oracle on me right now, right?
That's- yeah,
I'm not going to have it.
I think you're off of a soapbox for a couple of days.
Well,
you
if
go
you're calling
Wowios.
me out on Warriors,
Timberwolves
then
and
you should
Warriors.
be paying extra attention.
Well, you could do it behind the scenes, in my ear, not on the air. But you know that doing it on the air is funnier, right?
Yeah, as you did yesterday.
Exactly. What are we arguing about?
I don't eat the wiener.
I don't eat the wiener. I do with mustard, though. Very quickly, a lot of things to get to in the second hour. Make sure you set your calendar for Tuesday, June 24th.
Hey!
Because as we mentioned before, and you hear it all day here on The Fan, your local Toyota dealers presents the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms Golf Club, brought to you by Henderson and Daughter Windows and Doors and Philbrook Law, Accident, and Injury Lawyers. Victor Eccles will be hanging out. We got Matt's Barbecue hanging out, so the food is going to be exceptional from morning to night. Foursomes can be purchased at 1080thefan.com on the Fan Golf Classic logo.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody. Have you guys seen at all? Because I saw a little bit of it, but then I didn't get home and follow up. Have we found the van that rammed into the motorcycle person yet?
I don't know.
No.
I thought you showed me the video. I had not seen that news story. That was pretty wild.
In Beaverton.
In
Did you not see
Beaverton.
this?
Like it was on 26, and a guy flipped him off, and he just rammed his van right into the side of the motorcycle.
So the wife saw this after I had seen it and was like, "Did you see?" And I was like, "Yeah, I saw. It's crazy."
Yeah.
It's like a van, a motorcyclist, looks like a pretty gnarly biker guy, clearly animated and pissed, goes right up to the window and screaming at him with one hand on the bike bar, the other just, angry fist guy. And the van just wheels right into him and just runs him off the road and
Just
crashes
boom.
him.
Yep.
And then proceeds to drive off.
Like nothing happened.
How have we not caught him? It's a Kia van.
There's literally video of it, and I think we have the license plate, so I'd imagine we'll have to look it up.
So
I'm
we
sure
have the
they've-
person?
I'm assuming we. How do we not? We got the license plate. This is why.
Is this a man or a lady? Text Police probably already chiming in, telling us they've caught this person. But
In a van?
In a van. I mean, yeah, it's a guy. Somebody said he got
They got caught?
Okay.
He got caught. So it was a man. I live by one fundamental rule when I'm on the road, and that is that you're right and I'm wrong. I don't do any of this stuff because you never know the kind of person you're going to be dealing with. My internal yelling, I can scream in my car. I'll flip you off under my steering wheel. The first time, I don't deal with it. Dude, people are crazy, man. Like, this is just as simple. I'm sure somebody cut somebody off or somebody was riding too close. He gives them a, hey, what the hell's the matter with you? And this bro driving a van decides to run a motorcycle off the road.
Dude,
I'm
crazy.
not dealing with people, man. I don't do it. My life is not worth getting upset about somebody going 4 miles an hour too slow on the highway. No. If you road rage me, that's fine. Have a nice day. I'm going to wave right back at you. You cut me off, I'm going to curse you under my breath. You have a wonderful day, sir. I don't deal with this stuff on the road, man.
I'm just like picturing you.
A lot of these on a lot of those.
Two hands on the wheel. Yeah, you better drive right. You better go away. You're scared of me, aren't you?
Your life is not worth it, man. People are insane.
I will say,
how is this a response to a traffic argument?
Well,
you could have killed the guy. You're spending the rest of your life in prison.
It sounds awful.
Was the guy okay, by the way, on the motorcycle?
He's in critical condition.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Did he tail that van for like
I
have
don't know
is
the
the
backstory.
crash part. We don't have the
don't know.
before part.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
not saying that's the response.
You want to hear both sides of the story? You giving me
No,
that angle?
No.
There's two sides to every story.
Well, I told the wife, if you have that road rage where you're clearly now blackout, you're not becoming a decent human being anymore.
No, you snap and go to a different place.
You need to snap back and pull to the side. And I
don't have the ability to do it. They don't. In that moment, you're gone. It's over. The dark light comes on, and see
now
you
you're
later,
in prison
buddy.
for 30 years.
Now you're going to prison for 30 years. If this guy passes away, it's just horrible.
Awful.
Dude, that video was insane. Did you also see, I got sent down 2 different rabbit news holes yesterday.
Because the story went national.
It did. It was all, the video of it, the dash cam footage of it. My buddy Spencer sent me 2 different news stories that just threw me for a loop last night. Have you seen the story of the guy who went on a sailboat from Oregon to Hawaii?
No.
So I think his name is Phoenix. He's been documenting the entire thing. He found out that I don't know what his medical condition is, but he found out he's going paralyzed. He's like a younger dude. And he's like not going to be able to walk, and he's got this big savings in 401k.
So he's just like doing something.
And he was like, dude, I'm not going to be able to enjoy retirement. I'm never going to be able to walk again. He grabbed his dog or his cat, bought a sailboat, cashed in his 401k, and was documenting the entire journey, sailing a sailboat from Oregon to Hawaii. And I'm pretty sure he didn't make it, and the videos like just stopped. But I was like going through this rabbit hole of all these videos. And this
Did
guy
he have experience sailing?
I don't think so. I don't.
Oh man, you can't make that.
But he's just like, I don't want to live. He just didn't want to live life that way, and so he just decided to cash everything in and was like, I'm done, and sailed his way to Hawaii. And then there's also worry. Have you seen how many dead bodies we found in the rivers recently?
Well, yeah, we also had a fentanyl bust in Salem yesterday.
I mean, we found like 9 dead bodies in the last 3 weeks in the Willamette River.
Yeah.
Do we got a serial killer on the loose?
Having driven across the Ross Island every day to go home, there are people now living on Ross Island.
Living on the island.
Like, there's multiple. There
so
was
you're
a
just
guy
thinking it's hobos that are stumbling their way in after too high of a high?
Kind of naturally having this assumption?
I mean, that's the thought.
I
But
know one of
9
them
in a
was a kayaker.
month seems like the one guy went over Multnomah Falls or what? Not Multnomah Falls, but yeah.
The Oregon City Falls. Yeah.
Willamette Falls.
Which, by the way, having
Willamette
lived
Falls,
there,
thank you.
That's...
Yeah, that's serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
People are saying, by the way, the guy's out of the hospital now.
Good.
The motorcycle
Thank
guy.
you for follow-up.
Yes.
I just saw that he was in critical condition. I didn't follow up. My wife, we talked about it. I know somebody that works for Fox Sports. He goes on the road on their big nooners. He does a lot of like technical behind the scenes stuff. He also is a boat baby. So he was raised in a really wealthy area of Southern California. And so he's really a great sailor. And every year, him and 3 people, they sail from L.A. to Hawaii.
That's wild.
And they make it, like, no problem.
Like, they make it okay.
Because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
they know
they've done it before.
Yes.
There's multiple guys on board.
Yes, and he documents it. He's every year and during the off season. So the fact that one person went by himself.
Just like, screw it, I'm cashing in.
It reminds me of that guy that stole that Alaska Airlines plane.
Yes.
It was like, you know that whale? Where's that whale?
Like talking to the air traffic control guy. You know, I got a couple screws loose. I just kind of popped off today.
Do you know how to land, sir?
No.
No, we're not landing.
We're just flying.
This thing's going out in glory.
This is how I'm going. This is how it ends for me. There is a level of respect of like, dude, good for you. Go out on your own terms, man.
Yeah.
Not hurting anybody. I'm sailing to Hawaii. What the hell? It's jumping the ocean.
I'll never. Do you know where that whale is?
That audio is unbelievable.
That's remarkable audio.
Look at us talking news right out of the gate today.
Well, yeah.
Somebody
Sorry.
said Dirt's bringing all the pick-me-up stories this morning. You're welcome. I mean, I think that one is
I thought you were going to have a much happier ending to the guy in Sailboat. And
I'll see if I can find a follow-up guy.
Nobody found him.
Okay, somebody said that he was live yesterday, so he came back live. He had a gap where he didn't.
Boy, we're just all over the news.
Look, I'm not a big news guy
Isaac's
anymore.
not hiring us for 4:30.
We're not going to be in the news.
We're not in the news.
We got a toe in the news. Now we're not all the way in on the news. Thanks to our listeners though for all the updates. The guy's still alive. Look, it's got a happy ending. I do think
you insinuated that he died.
Well, the video stopped. Like he just, maybe he was in a dark spot of posting content.
I don't know if internet's great out there.
Go find this guy on Instagram, though. It's pretty wild stuff. Like he's documenting the entire thing on his Instagram. I think his name is Phoenix. Phoenix, yeah.
Are you knob-blocking me right now?
I'm not knob-blocking you on the name. Okay. I know the name's right. I clearly was knob-blocking the is he alive or not. But good. Happy ending. Dude still breathing.
We got some football stuff to get into before we pivot back into the NBA playoffs because our guest, Locked Up Thunder, coming up at 7:30.
What's his name?
Ryan Stills.
Yes.
Rylan Stills.
Nailed it.
Timberwolves and Warriors. Rylan Styles.
Once you say a name wrong, it is in your head the rest of the show.
No, it's his face.
So Wobios over there.
He sounds like a WWE wrestler, Ryan Styles.
Rylan.
That's what I said, Rylan Styles.
Yeah. Rylan is a unique name.
It's cool. I like Rylan.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Rylan.
Would you rather be a Ryan like everybody else or a Rylan?
Rylan.
I mean, Rylan does stand out a little bit more.
Profiling Rylan.
Yeah.
Look at that. Locked on Thunder.
Now you got to do the rhyming thing in your head to make sure you remember it.
It's the last name I'm actually screwing up the most right now.
We'll see if I screw it up now. You've said it wrong so many times, and I'm probably now going to say it wrong.
You know what it is? It's your damn goatee. It's that grayish goatee you have on your face. It's making me just forget his last name.
Timberwolves and Warriors.
It's a great goatee, but every time I look at it, now I'm questioning everything about my
I had to trim it
existence.
up a little yesterday. It was good.
Did you?
Kind of.
Had to class it up.
Yeah.
I like you with facial hair. I don't like you without it. Stop shaving your face. Just telling you the truth. You
long beard.
You need facial
I want
hair.
bearded swag back.
Non-bearded facial hair swag?
Yeah.
That ain't the look.
No. Facial hair swag, that's the way to go.
I bet we could test a theory here. We won't, but I bet we could.
Bring some
amount of
gals in.
sex you have with facial hair versus without it, I bet is substantially in the facial hair category.
I think it is too.
And they haven't talked about that. Nobody has said anything to you, but I bet it's a fact.
Yep.
Because you look great with
situation.
it. You do.
Gotta have it.
So we'll go to the 7:30 ticker. Locked on Thunder. Football stuff is next on the Fan. Just read the KGW report of the guy arrested for the motorcycle runoff. 41 years old.
Got some screws loose, man. By the way, somebody said give us the handle. So the guy's handle on Instagram is sailing_with_Phoenix.
Yeah, we just saw the video during
So
the break.
he's still standing, which is good. My guy's still going. Make it to Hawaii, buddy.
Rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him.
Be awesome.
Going out on your own terms. Screw this, man. I'm cashing in my 401k. I want to do what I want to do for the rest of my life. Badass move.
The Cowboys have been teasing about making a trade for a while. People were like, is this going to happen?
Substantial
Ooh.
trade.
A substantial trade. Thank you.
Ooh.
All right, Jarrah.
And people were like, Jared, are you just old and crazy, or is this really going to happen? Well, this morning it did happen. They landed their number 2 wide receiver, George Pickens.
George Pickens is a Dallas Cowboy.
CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Tyler Ferguson, passing options amongst many, including your very own Trayshawn Holden.
Yes, who was very upset that he went undrafted. He's using it as motivation. His wide receiver coach is now, ironically, the wide receiver coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, I hope he does well. You spit on a player. I mean, sometimes you got to suffer the consequences.
He learned his lesson, all right? He learned his lesson.
Pickens and a second-round who famously second-round pick of the Steelers in 2022, final year of his rookie contract. So that thing obviously did not work out for them.
No, that was a thing that's been brewing for basically a calendar year now. I think it's part of the reason they traded for DK Metcalf. The irony of that is they still don't have a starting quarterback. So, we'll see how that works out in Pittsburgh. Maybe it ends up being Aaron Rodgers. This was a divorce that was set in stone almost.
Yeah, well, Steeler fans are actually kind of pissed about this because they wanted to see what DK and Pickens would be like as weapons.
I don't blame him. Maybe with Aaron Rodgers for a year, see what you could do. Why the hell not? It's better than Mason Rudolph.
The Cowboys acquired George Pickens and a 6th-round pick, and the Steelers in exchange get a 2026 3rd-round pick and a 2027 5th-round pick.
Yeah, I have split feelings on this. On the one hand, that's not a lot to give up for a guy who is an incredibly talented wide receiver. Like, nobody questions his physical traits and abilities. Their quarterback play has been some of the worst in the NFL over the last 3 years. He's gone for 800 yards, 1,100 yards, and 900 yards in 3 seasons. He's been incredibly durable. Like, his numbers have been solid considering he's not playing in a high-functioning offense. The part of it that I am cautious with that makes me throw a little bit of cold water on my excitement if I'm a Cowboys fan is that how many of these crazy Steeler wide receivers have gone on to better parts of their career after they left Pittsburgh?
Well, Antonio Brown won a Super Bowl.
He did.
Now, did it end weirdly in New York?
He did.
And has not been the same since?
Yeah. He did win a Super Bowl. I'll give him that. He won a Super Bowl. But outside of that, it didn't go very well. Like, I just feel like a lot of these guys are bad. There's something about Steeler wide receivers. They're just badass crazy. And when they leave, everything unravels in their life because they just don't have the structure or what. Maybe Mike Tomlin holds them together. I don't know. That's the only thing here that I'm just like, if this dude's a problem in Pittsburgh, Dak starts throwing a couple of picks. He's going to be a problem everywhere he goes. It's just a question of are you willing to put up with it.
Dan Orlovsky says that this move makes the Cowboys a playoff team.
I mean, them being a playoff team wouldn't be very surprising. They've been largely a playoff team over the last handful of years.
Get this, the division now, this is the NFC East. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Scary Terry, Deebo Samuel.
It's a hell of a wide receiver division.
That's a lot of talent, man.
It's a lot of talent at one position in one division. I don't know. I mean, look, the Cowboys are still going to be the Cowboys, but them making the playoffs, this is a nice, formidable tandem. It's just a question of can you keep him happy? And then if you can keep him happy, are you willing to give him the long-term extension?
Well, his last game as a Steeler wasn't particularly great.
Dude, this guy was a problem. Like, not running routes, not trying. You can go look up.
Had some dropsies.
Dude, he had some dropsies. Yeah, I mean, in the playoff game, he ended up having a nice performance, but towards the end of the regular season, like, it got ugly for him. They lost 19-17 in their last game of the regular season against Cincinnati. He had 1 catch for 6 yards
that's
or
the
no
game
yards.
I'm thinking about instead of the playoff game, yeah.
Dude, there are people that went out. You can do this on the NFL media app, and you can do the all-22 or single-player camera stuff, and people, singled out his highlights or just lowlights, if you will, throughout the course of a game where he's not run blocking, he's not getting off the ball, he's jogging on half of his routes.
When he knows he's not going to get the ball.
Just zero attempt, zero willingness to play team football and do what it takes to make the others around you better. Can Dallas change that? Maybe they can. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be happier there. He's going to have a better quarterback, no matter how you feel about Dak Prescott. He's better than whatever the hell the Steelers have been doing the last 3 years. But it just, I mean, these guys are headaches. He's going to be a headache for the Cowboys like he was for Pittsburgh.
We're going to talk with Ryan Stiles of Locked On Thunder coming up here at the bottom of the hour. That's what I said, Rylan Stiles. Rylan Stiles.
I think you said Rylan that time. I think you got it right.
I absolutely did. Why don't you check
Timberwolves
tape?
and Warriors.
Oracle. Get off this name problem. It's your issue, not mine. You know, there was some talk that people...
what were they talking about?
They were complimenting that Schottenheimer hasn't had a lot of noise, that this is a sign that things might be better. Yeah, that was a real thing that I heard on ESPN.
The reason there's no noise is because the Cowboys haven't done anything this offseason.
Yeah, but like Schottenheimer hasn't stepped in it.
He hasn't said anything stupid.
Yeah.
That's how low we're setting the bar for the Cowboys now. He hasn't made an ass of himself 2 months into being the head coach of the team. That's now the success rate for the organization.
Is that team have you shaken in your boots?
No, nothing about the Cowboys makes me shake in my boots.
Really?
Nothing about them.
That's too bad because they like to wear boots in Texas.
They do like to
I think
wear
they want
boots.
you shaking in your boots.
I mean, look, they were 7-10 last year. The injuries piled up. They're going to be a playoff contender this year if they stay healthy.
They definitely could make the playoffs.
They have been for the last 8 years. It's like 6 of the 8 years they've been in the playoffs and lost some hilarious playoff games.
You have Dak, you have Lamb, you have Parsons. Like that
they're in the mix.
Yes, you should be in the mix.
You stay healthy, you're in the mix. And I think you have a chance for some of these teams in the NFC. Like when you look at schedules and the way they break down, you tell me Detroit takes a little bit of step back this year, I wouldn't be surprised by it. You tell me Washington has a harder schedule. They're probably not going to win 12 games again. I wouldn't be surprised by it. There's a handful of teams like that in the NFC. And the reality is we do this a lot with the AFC. Of the wild card chase in that conference is brutal. Like you got the AFC North with 3 teams that could be playoff contenders. You got the AFC West where you could argue the entire division is a playoff contender. And the NFC, man, the wild card race, what are we dealing with here? It's not that hard. And so maybe the Bears come up and surprise. Maybe some other teams are better. But the NFC South is mostly dog-ass. And outside of that, they got a chance to make the playoffs this year.
We will get to Stat or Story coming up at 8:15. We'll dive back into the NBA playoffs with our ticker guest, Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder. Does great work on that podcast network. He'll join us for the Daily Ticker to talk about the Thunder game. Why are you laughing?
People are saying, I love Ryan Stiles' work on Whose Line It Is It Anyways. Isn't that the tall guy's name, Ryan Stiles?
That is correct.
Ryan Stiles? We got Ryan Stiles on the show?
Rylan.
You booked the guy from Whose Line? Is Drew Carey going to be on too?
Did you anticipate I'd have this many flubs when you did?
Yeah, he saw it coming.
I was a little
Timberwolves and Warriors.
Really? Rylan Stiles. What a name. And a good podcaster.
Great podcaster.
He joins us next to talk about a pivotal game, too. Are Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren playing for their Thunder future today? I would make an argument they are. Because if they go down 0-2, those two dudes definitely going to be shopped in the offseason. We'll talk with Rylan Stiles next. Daily Ticker on the Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at VulcanDC.com. First on The Fan, road teams continue to dominate in the second round of the NBA playoffs. In Cleveland, Cavaliers playing without Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter had led for most of the game, up 7 in the final minute. But Tyrese Halliburton was able to rebound his own missed free throw, hit a game-winning 3 in the final second for a 120-119 win. And the Pacers will take a 2-0 series link home to Indy for games 3 and 4. In Minnesota, Steph Curry had 13 points in his first 13 minutes of action. They would be his only 13 minutes of action. He left the game with a strained hamstring, getting an MRI today. His teammates picked him up, though, for a 99-89 win over the Timberwolves, who missed their first 16 three-point attempts. Buddy Hield led the way with 24 points. Tonight, Celtics trying to be a home team to win. They are 10.5-point favorites hosting the Knicks in Game 2, 4 o'clock tip. At 6:30 in OKC, Thunder trying to bounce back against the Nuggets. They are 11-point favorites. Both those games will be seen on TNT. The trade is official this morning. Dallas Cowboys acquiring wide receiver George Pickens from the Steelers. They get a 6th-round pick in 2027. They send back to Pittsburgh their 3rd-round picks next year and a 5th-round pick in 2027. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan. Presents The Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague hit the big stories you've heard about, and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? Actually, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker with Dirt and Sprague is poured by Pelican Brewing. Soak in the sunshine with the return of Pelican's seasonal beer, Pelicano. Available in clear glass bottles for refreshment you can see.
All right, Daily Ticker Time on a Wednesday, brought to you as always by our great friends at Pelican Brewing. Experience your hops differently with Pelican's new hop-infused hard seltzer, hard hops, blackberries, infused or strata hops, made with real blackberries and available now at a store near you. Love me a good hard seltzer. Love the Pelicans in the game on hard seltzers. The NBA playoffs in the second round have been absolute bananas so far. Underdogs not just covering the number 5-0 outright. They keep winning games somehow, some way. And one of those series was the OKC-Denver series, which we get game 2 tonight in Oklahoma City. Joining us now is Rylan Stiles, covering the Thunder, the host of the Locked On Thunders podcast. You can give him a follow on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Rylan, good morning to you. How much does it help the pucker factor of seeing every other team in the second round that's a favorite going through the same thing that happened to the Thunder in game 1 of their series?
Yeah, I mean, it has to alleviate some of the worry of the Thunder fan base, especially. I don't think that there's a much worry internally in the Thunder organization, but everyone's kind of dealing with the same thing. And I think that right now you look around and say, well, do you really believe that this trend will hold? And I think in most cases you say no, but there certainly are going to be teams that can't recover from this.
How disappointing. Obviously, the result is disappointing. It felt like they had won that game until they didn't. But you get collective 10 of 31 from Chet and Jalen. And I don't know which one is considered the two by every Thunder fan, but these are two guys that are largely considered the running mates for Shea. They're the ones in commercials dressing the same. Just everybody doubting the Thunder because that is their number 2 or 3 option, and them having that performance. How did that leave Thunder fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the feeling right now is a lot of PTSD from a year ago, where not only did those two guys fall short offensively, but you couldn't shoot the ball very well, and you got dominated on the glass. Those are all the reasons why you went home a year ago. So, yeah, I mean, the feeling right now is not great in this city. Whenever you look at how that game ended, not just the loss, but all of the different ways that it went down. You couldn't close the game late because of some poor execution. You couldn't have your number 2 and number 3 guy handle the bright lights of the offense, and you couldn't shoot the ball well, and you couldn't rebound, which were the two things that hurt you a year ago. So I think that those guys are going to have to face a lot of pressure in this game. We're going to see how they can respond to that because they are young and they haven't really been in this spot before. Because whenever you look at this Thunder, kind of track record, they won game 1 against Dallas. They ended up losing the series, but they won game 1. Yeah. So, they didn't have a ton of expectation or pressure heading into game 2. And then the heartbreaking game that they lost to Dallas in game 6, there was no other game afterward. So we've never seen this Thunder team have to respond to a ton of adversity and actually play the next night. So here it is. Let's see what this young Thunder team's made of.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads into my next question. We're talking with Rylan Stiles. He covers the Thunder, host on Locked On Thunders podcast, at Rylan_Stiles. I mean, it's impossible to answer because we don't know how the game's going to go tonight. We don't have a magic 8-ball. But when you see a team choke away a game like they did in game 1, where you're inbounding the ball to the wrong guy maybe, or missing free throws, or fouling too quickly, or just whatever little minute mistakes that they made, I'm always curious if that becomes a trend where if it happens to you immediately the next game, are you going, oh, God, here we're in the same spot. How are we going to handle it this time? Or do you use it as kind of a fuel or a teaching moment to say, okay, we did that wrong in the last game. Let's do it differently. Just how do you think this team is equipped to handle if they're in the same spot tonight? You're up by, 5 with 90 seconds to go. Do you think they're better equipped to handle it tonight? Or is there a pucker factor of, oh, God, here we go again?
Yeah, it's tough to really know for sure, right? Because this Thunder team has been excellent at responding to things like this in the regular season. You can go back to March, and whenever the Thunder in the fourth quarter with a 20-point lead to the Timberwolves at home, they went on to win 10 straight games after that and kind of responded really well and really start playing better basketball because they kind of had gotten into a daze whenever they seemingly wrapped up the Western Conference at that point. So they kind of woke up from that blown lead. That could happen again, but this is, again, so different. And they don't play the same style, of course, in the NBA in the postseason as they do in the regular season. So I think that the only thing that you would really want to monitor tonight is free throws, because the Thunder shot 71% at the free throw line in game 1, and it started from the get-go. I mean, J-Dub misses 2 free throws in the first quarter. Even your MVP misses 2 free throws throughout the game. Like, that cannot happen. And this was the team that shot the best free throw percentage in the NBA during the regular season, and we're now at series number 2 of them underperforming at the free throw line. That can't happen. But now that you are thinking about it, now that it did cost you last game, how do they react when they're on the line?
I got a question about the adjustments for Game 2, but I want to ask you a poll question we put up earlier. My co-host hates Tyrese Halliburton with a passion of 1,000 fires.
Overrated.
And I said something about Jamal Murray, how he doesn't perform quite the same in the regular season as he does in the playoffs, and how kind of weird that is to talk about. And he said, well, it's almost insulting to Jamal Murray to bring up Tyrese Halliburton. So the poll question is, who is the better player? Rylan Stiles, who is the better player, Murray or Halliburton?
I would have to say Halliburton is the better player in general. I do think that Murray, of course, strikes a lot of fear in you in the postseason. He's capable of going off. The thing is, it feels like Halliburton more consistent so far in his career than Murray has been. But I really do like Halliburton.
Now, look, I disrespected Jokic, I think, by going into this and thinking the Thunder were going to make quick work of the Nuggets. I just didn't like Denver's defense. I've watched Denver all year. I didn't think they were that amazing, and now suddenly they're awesome and amazing. What about Game 1 scares the living hell out of you about this series that maybe you thought, okay, this could be a thing, it ended up being a thing? What about Game 1 scares you?
I'd say the biggest thing that should scare anyone who picked the Thunder would be the fact that that game didn't go the way you expected it to whenever you were trying to paint the picture of a Denver win. The Denver Nuggets turned the ball over 18 times. They shot the ball horrendously, worse than the Thunder. For as much as we're talking Thunder poor shooting with their youngsters, Denver shot the ball worse from 3, and you would expect them to shoot the ball better. You'd expect them to turn the ball over less. You'd expect Jamal Murray to play better. For the camp that doesn't like Halliburton and loves Murray, you better hope that he has a good game today. And so I think that's the biggest concern, is that for as much as you can pick apart the Thunder, you can also look at ways that Denver can be a lot better. Like, Jamal's going to have to play better. Russ had a really good game. Russ also went 1 for 4, and we saw it from 3. And we saw him shoot 40% from 3 last series. What if he gets hot again? Like, then how do you respond to that? So you just gave the game away, and the Nuggets, to their credit, kept fighting, and they kept hanging around in a game where they probably didn't have their gas. But, other than that, Denver just had Jokic go insane, which is going to happen 7 times anyway. And so, the fact that you could not get this one is pretty concerning long term.
Yeah, Rylan Stiles, great stuff covering the Thunder. Locked on Thunders podcast at Rylan_Stiles. Thanks for the time, man. Enjoy Game 2 tonight. Should be a fun one. We'll see how the Thunder bounce back from their tough Game 1 loss, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
No problem, man. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Rylan Stiles talking some Thunder Nuggies.
Smart basketball guy.
Smile, debatable. Debatable.
Murray, to one of our listeners who responded to the poll question, Murray is incredibly frustrating to watch during the regular season.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
It's like, yo, I see you in the playoffs dropping 40.
Yeah, why doesn't that show up more often in the regular season? And they're both very similar players in that regard. Jamal Murray clearly has the better running mate, which makes his case, or his job, I would say, a little bit easier, because playing with Jokic is, a pretty cool thing. There's just something about him come playoff time. When you show up time and time again, the way that he has, what was it in the first round? And he had a 40-something point game against the Clippers, just randomly goes off. He's had games like that where he carries a team.
I don't know what you're going to get to coming up next, but I would just say if you're not getting to it, I'll just get out. It is absolute crunch time for Holmgren and Williams. If you do not perform,
bye-bye,
and they fall down 0-2, those are absolute trading pieces for the Thunder, and I wouldn't blame them at all. And then, hello, Giannis.
You're in the Giannis sweepstakes all of a sudden.
Yes, you are. Well, you should be in it anyway, I would say.
Yeah, they should. Tonight, a lot of fun. Both games tonight should be great. We'll get to them more in the final hour of the show. The Daily Ticker, as always, is brought to you by our wonderful friends at Pelican Brewing Company. Did you know they got a new hop-infused hard seltzer? Experience your hops differently. Hard hops, blackberries, infused with strata hops, made with real blackberries, and available now at a store near you. It's the most upset you've ever been as a sports fan because one person is taking it to a new level. We'll give you the details. We'll talk about it next on The Fan.
Who's Stinking It Up?
Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomservices.com.
I got everywhere I wanted to get. Just couldn't finish. Yeah, I think that was the only thing. I got everything I was looking for in the first half. Yeah, just couldn't finish.
Ah, you got 1 point, everything you were looking for. There's Ant Edwards, who said he wanted the smoke. 1 point, first half. Timberwolves lose at home. Warriors lost Steph Curry, and it didn't matter.
I mean, it's a good reminder, too, the combination of Draymond and Jimmy Butler. As much as I hate Draymond Green, they can be a formidable defensive team. But that 1 point as a star player who gets compared to Michael Jordan in a playoff game is just you got to be better than that, Anthony Edwards.
Outplayed by Buddy Hield. I
Yes.
mean, you got to be better in game 2. Who's stinking it up? Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. Hey, Three Mountains Home Services here to give you a great deal. Schedule your AC tune-up for only $59. Call Three Mountains today and pay only $59 for your AC tune-up. It's time. It's getting hot. Get that AC serviced. Don't get stuck in the heat this summer with a broken AC. Schedule an appointment today at threemountainshomservices.com because Three Mountains Home Services make home services delightful.
Here.
What's the pressure? Don't sit here and act like there's no... We get nervous teeing off in front of a gallery on the 10th hole at Eastmoreland.
Crunch Time, brought to you by Crunch Fitness, with memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com.
Hey, Crunch Time, brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. You can find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com.
Got all the details on my medicals yesterday for my weightlifting journey.
Yes.
Man.
How we looking? How we feeling?
We're not quite there.
Not where we want to be?
Not yet.
Okay.
Good numbers. We're looking for better numbers.
Trending in the right direction. Just keep building, bro. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Got a lot to get to in the final hour. Before we do that, let's take a trip down the hurt lane, shall we?
What do you think your physical age would be if you took measurements of your physicals?
Oh.
I hopped on a machine yesterday that tracks everything. Your body mass index, your fat, all that, right? Where your muscle mass largely is on your body, everything. And it says physical age based on your body results.
I don't think I'm that much older than I actually am. Definitely lean probably a little bit older than 36, but I don't think I'm going that extreme. I don't have any major aches and pains. I got nothing that's, back's not going out constantly. Famous last words. I don't have any bad I know. I'm just saying.
It's about your fat distribution, what your muscle density really is.
I got a lot of muscle. I got a lot of fat. I'm probably 39. 39 would be my guess.
I want to get you on this machine now.
Let's do it. Let's try it out.
I'm just curious.
What was yours?
37.
37?
So I'm younger than I am.
You're in good shape.
Yeah. I'm okay shape. Yeah. We're getting there.
Yeah.
It's
all those medium pizzas you're eating.
You know what, you little bitch?
I go 2 extra large family size pizzas. Papa Murphy, shout out, baby.
And you think you're only 39?
And then I go work out at Crunch Fitness. What's the most hurt you've ever been as a sports fan?
Well, this is a complicated question, Andrew.
Have you ever contemplated in your pain as a sports fan filing a lawsuit?
Yes.
Have you?
Against the New York Yankees when I was 10 years old, 1996 World Series. Cried.
This is happening right now in college football. And now I want to think about the times that, what is the latest or the last lawsuit you would want to apply to?
If the Blazers get the 11th pick, I will be filing a lawsuit
Joe
against
Cronin,
them.
you're filing a lawsuit against Cronin and Burt
No,
Gold?
Jody.
Damn it, Jody. An anonymous Colorado fan who is identifying himself only as John Doe has filed a lawsuit against the National Football League for $100 million due to the emotional distress caused by Shedeur Sanders dropping in the NFL draft.
What a waste of time.
The lawsuit reads a retraction of all the slanderous statements made about Shedeur Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused to his reputation, the implementation of fairer practices in the drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit, punitive damages in the amount of $100 million for the harm caused to the plaintiff and the impact of the NFL's actions on his emotional well-being, and any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages.
I thought Mel Kiper lived in Baltimore.
Well done.
Well
by
played.
you.
That was well played. That overcomes Wowios from yesterday.
Timberwolves and Warriors.
The conclusion of the lawsuit reads, the plaintiff requests that the court consider this complaint and take appropriate action to address the intentional emotional distress and trauma suffered as a result of the NFL's collusive practices and the harmful statements made regarding Shedeur Sanders. John Doe suing the NFL for $100 million.
Can we honestly just find out who this loser is?
I mean, I kind of want to know who he is now. I need a news interview with this guy.
I
hope a Denver radio station gets him on.
The attorney
who picks up this lawsuit?
Disbarred for actually filing the paperwork on this.
It's ridiculous.
$100 million. Yeah, I think probably 9-year-old me wanted to sue the Los Angeles Lakers. That was definitely a thing. I wanted to sue the Lakers. I wanted to sue Auburn football for illegally allowing Cam Newton to get paid and play for a national championship. Before
I would have thought you went
thing.
refs for saying Dyer wasn't down.
I mean, Dyer was down, so they should have been sued too. We could put them both together in a class action lawsuit.
What's the most recent
Can I
hurt
sue
you've
the
had?
Astros for the trash cans and all that crap?
Yeah, you can try that.
For my Dodgers.
If they can countersue you for cheating financially.
I'd like to sue...
Playing by the rules. They got the same rules to play by.
They played by the same rules, too.
No, they did not. Clearly did not.
You and the Red Sox kind of cheated.
Yeah, they did. That's true. Eye watches in the dugout.
Interesting.
iPads. Oh, yeah, what?
Oh, it's weird.
No,
That was the Red Sox.
Nothing here.
Was it?
Nothing to see.
misremembering.
We weren't connected to this at all.
No.
Barry Bonds didn't take steroids. I would like to sue the College Football Playoff Committee for making my team, after going
a good
undefeated, play the team who was the best
Yeah.
in the country in their first playoff game.
After
sitting at home for a month, I'd like that lawsuit.
I'd like to file a lawsuit against Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, Stanford. Oh, wait, that lawsuit's real.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
you're in a
you
lawsuit.
did. You
Yeah,
were in the
how about
lawsuit,
that?
and you won the lawsuit.
How about
You
that?
got the money. That's not a fake belief. That's not a imaginary lawsuit. That's a real lawsuit.
Yeah, I'd like to file a lawsuit against them.
Any other lawsuits we want to file? Is that it? Did we check every box?
Ooh. trying to think if there's any others.
I mean, this is a hilarious story.
What a baby back.
Yeah, I mean, because your guy fell to the 5th round. I mean,
You can't care that much.
No,
Like,
it's
there's you could give me any Oregon
if you're
State
doing
player
this,
who
you're
exists.
a fake Colorado fan. Like you're a
I was a
Colorado
judge-
for this reason.
You've been a Colorado fan for 36 months. If
I
you're
was
filing this
if I was a
lawsuit,
judge and this came across like, am I going to take this case or not? I would take it just to make the guy go
have to show
public.
up and talk about
Yeah.
it.
And then I would read him the riot act and dismiss the case publicly. I'd call court
you just
TV.
want this guy to be in there, get him on camera.
Hold the attorney in contempt. Yeah.
So John Doe, not very happy. He has sued the National Football League for $100 million. I love the Dr. Evil amount that's listed here. Not like, hey, $50K. You went with $100 million in emotional distress to the National Football League. I'm sure it's going to work out well for you.
Yeah.
When was the last time you wanted to sue somebody in sports? 503-864-6326.
Draft related, I'd go Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, not even scouting quarterbacks in the Mahomes draft and saying Solomon Thomas will do it.
That's a pretty good one. And then trading multiple first-round picks for Trey Lance. Oops. Oopsie. Was that the very next draft, or was that 2 drafts
I
later?
think that was a couple drafts later.
Okay, a couple drafts
it was a
later.
few drafts later.
Raiders fans might want a lawsuit against Jamarcus Russell.
Oof. But man, on his knees, that man is good.
We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. Crunch Time, as always, brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. We've officially entered ranking season. We'll get to that. We got Statter Story coming up at 8:15. It's a loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, what does a home team have to do to win in the conference semifinal round of the NBA playoffs? Cleveland, without 3 regulars, was up 20. Midway through the game, they were up 7 with under a minute to go. Couldn't hold the lead. Tyrese Halliburton rebounded his own missed free throw, hit the game-winning 3 with a second to go. 120-119 the win. Pacers take a 2-0 series lead home to Indy for games 3 and 4. In Minnesota, Steph Curry went out of the game in the second quarter with a strained hamstring. MRI results coming today, but his teammates picked him up for a 99-89 win. The Timberwolves missed their first 16 three-point attempts. Anthony Edwards only had 1 point in the first half. Buddy Hield led the way with 24. So tonight, Boston will try to even things up with New York, hosting Game 2. That's a 4 o'clock tip on TNT. Celtics 10.5-point favorites at 6:30 in OKC. Thunder looking to bounce back against the Nuggets. They're 11-point favorites, also on TNT. Cowboys have made a trade this morning, acquiring wide receiver George Pickens from the Steelers. They also get a future 6th-round pick. They send back to Pittsburgh their 3rd-round pick next year and a 2027 5th-round pick. The Portland Timbers needed a pair of goals in the final 15 minutes on the road in Tacoma to avoid disaster in the U.S. Open Cup. They get a 3-2 win over the Defiants in advance to the round of 16. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker.
This final hour, Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube, as we are every single day. Dude, I could choke down 6 of those easily. Got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. Stat or story coming up in a matter of moments, right around the corner.
My FUP-date will give you nightmares.
Nightmare FUP-date today?
It won't be quite as sexy and interesting as the detachable penis from an octopus.
The detachable penis is going to be hard to top.
Still have a lot of questions on that.
A lot of questions. What's the sensation like? Get back into the NBA playoffs a little bit later on.
How does it know there's a female?
I know. What does it sense? Is it got X-ray vision? What's going on?
Tracking devices?
I really want to know. I want to interview the octopus.
The water's warmer over here.
Ooh. Some lawsuits are getting sent in. Somebody wants to sue the 2001 Mariners, laying a turd in the playoffs after the best regular season in Major League Baseball history. That's a good lawsuit.
I'm asking sincerely here. I'm not trolling. I am not dirt. I don't troll Mariner fans for fun.
This is the year.
I remember watching that team and watching and following that season. I loved Mike Cameron. Ichiro was a sensation. I saw that team play a couple times in person. Did Mariner fan go into the playoffs with the expectation they were going to win the World Series?
I think when you win 116 games, that's unquestionably your expectation.
Okay. Well, I just
not like it's a certainty it's going to happen, but like you got to go pay it off now.
Well, like the Cavs won 64
They certainly thought
games.
they were going to get to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, at least get to the dance at least.
They lost to the Yanks, right?
I believe they lost to the Yankees.
Because I just don't remember the other AL stuff that season.
Let me look it up.
I believe it was the Yankees. The damn Yankees.
Those damn... Yeah, I mean, that was in the stretch where they were in the World Series like 4 out of 5 years, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so the Mariners won 116 games.
Indians in the divisional series and lost to the Yankees.
Lost in 5 games to the Yankees in the ALCS.
Was that the famous Indian series where the shadow and earring problem happened?
Yes. Who was that pitcher for the Indians?
I don't remember.
God, I can picture him in my mind.
Yeah, I can see him, but I don't know his
name.
name.
The glistening of the necklace was throwing off the hitters, and they made him take his necklace off. I mean, it was a huge controversy of like, you can't tell me to take the necklace off. And they're like, yeah, we can. The sun's shining on the necklace. That's a pretty good lawsuit. Let's see what else we got here. Can I sue Neil O'Shea for emotional damage due to his malpractice by bifurcating his proprietary information? That's pretty solid. What else we got here? I want to sue the NFL for coming out years later and saying Dez caught it. I'm still not over that. That's a good one.
I mean, we wouldn't be able to make fun of that franchise quite as much had they gone to the NFC title game that year.
Yeah, very true.
It would have snapped that whole streak thing.
They're the only team in the NFC, right, who hasn't been to an
You're
NFC
the
title
only
game
one.
this century.
Yes.
Somebody asking on Twitter, is it too late to sue the Blazers for taking Sam Bowie? No, it's never too late, man. You can always file that lawsuit if you want. And another one, similar to our age range, where Blazers Western Conference, I want to sue the Lakers or sue the Blazers for melting down. And I was crying in my living room. As a fourth grader, as we all were, that was a tough day in Blazer history. Nothing better in May than when you get to ranking season, especially ones that'll get people fired up. So I'm going to ask you guys this question, and we'll see how much you agree with this college football writer. Paul Meyerberg, who we've had on the show before, he covers college football for the USA Today. He came out with a Big Ten head coach rankings in college football, and it's delightful, and I want to get to it. But before I do, I would like to ask the question. According to Brandon Sprague and Jason Swigard, Chuck and Jay, who are your top 5 Big Ten coaches?
Chuck and Jay.
Chuck and Jay.
Timberwolves and Warriors.
Chuck and Woyo.
Chuck and Woyo.
Okay, it would have been nice for you to give us a heads up on this segment.
Nah, I like off-the-cuff rankings.
Okay.
Having to look up all the names of the head coaches or try and rattle through them.
Well,
I mean, a lot of people are just immediately eliminated.
Am I going to rank this by most recent success?
Just who do you think's the best coach? You can use whatever determining factors you want to use.
I think it's fair to go Ryan Day 1.
He just won a national championship.
This is where it gets a little
I would
tricky.
go Dan Lanning 2.
Really?
Dan Lanning 2.
Yeah.
Over James Franklin?
Yes.
Because he beat him in a Big Ten title game?
I just think
Over Kirk Ferentz?
punts. What, you going to put Matt Rule in there?
No, I didn't say Matt Rule. I just the Lanning one's interesting. I definitely think he's in the top 3. But
I think what Lanning has done adapting
to that Nike
things-
money.
Well,
why are we losing all these recruits, man? I thought we got unlimited
paying enough.
Unlimited resources.
Step it up.
That we can spend anything we
I
want.
think
Texas
he's more.
spending $40
I
million.
think he's more adaptive to his personnel than James Franklin is. James Franklin tries to mold his personnel to his style that he wants to play.
Interesting. Okay.
And
I'm fascinated by that.
I didn't see
answer.
that answer coming, but all right.
I don't know how to quantify what
Okay,
you
so
just
you go.
said.
You would go Lanning 2.
What about Signetti?
Kurt Signetti? Google me,
Google
bitch.
me,
I win.
What about Lincoln Riley?
Kurt Signetti, by the way, needs to get shoved in a locker. He's coming out. He said that Oregon's
He
spending.
named Oregon.
Yeah, I said they're spending
I saw
40. Like,
that.
yeah, because I'm sure Dan Lanning's on the phone with you at Big Ten conference calls saying, you know, Kurt, we're spending $40 million on our roster this year.
I think
you have no idea how much these teams are spending.
I think what's difficult is
shut up and sit down.
It's like trying to give some coaches credit for what they've done where they're at.
Yeah, that's a hard thing about college football.
I have no idea what to do with Sharon Moore.
I mean, he's not coached long enough for you to do anything.
I mean, it's funny.
no.
Like nobody's even
He
mentioned
shouldn't be
Lincoln
in.
Riley.
I just said Lincoln
Oh, you
Riley.
did? Okay. What about Brett Bielema, who's had a great coaching
Bielema's
career?
another one, like really tricky. The Wisconsin stuff.
Yep.
But then Arkansas sucked. But now, like Illinois might find themselves in the Big Ten title game this year.
They might.
They're
kind of
a ton of talent.
They're a dark horse team for a
Okay.
lot of people this year.
Let's sort this out then. Number
Okay.
1, Ryan Day.
Number 1,
Yeah.
Ryan Day.
You know what? I'll give you number 2. He went undefeated in year 1 of Big Ten. He's absolutely a recruiting monster. Just do it.
I
Dan
just
Lanning.
I
Dan
look at
Lanning
it
too.
as if I had a program that, who would be my first call?
Who's your third?
Then you got to go
Franklin.
James Franklin,
Yeah.
right? You have to. Don't you? You got to. Who are you taking ahead of James Franklin?
Franklin
Name me the
took
name. You going
Vanderbilt
Lincoln
to a
Riley?
bowl
Lincoln
game.
Riley over James Franklin right now?
I mean,
One guy can has a functioning defense.
Oh, Lincoln's building it right now.
Sure he is.
It's going to come out the same year America
This
has
is
a
the year.
dome.
This is the year.
Boy, Fish.
Yeah, come on.
Jed Fish?
That don't smell right.
Dude, he turned Arizona turned into a winning
He
program
had
with him.
a season.
A
season.
If he would have stayed committed to the program, I mean, they would have been okay this year.
Would they?
I think so.
I think they kind of proved they were a little duddy.
Okay. All right.
Okay, number 3, I'll go Franklin.
You got to go Franklin. You have to.
I don't know if it's that easy.
I think it is easy.
Okay, number 4,
Good luck.
Bielema. Probably go Bielema.
Bielema.
When you have success at multiple stops, doesn't that
He has.
That
He
was like
also
their first 10-win season in God knows how long.
He also flamed out at Arkansas, so he's great in the Big Ten. So I guess if you're going Big Ten logic here, he's great at Wisconsin, been good at Illinois.
I mean, if they're really good again and win 10 games this year,
Yeah.
let's say they even make the playoff. That's 2 out of 3 stops that have been good. Are you going to hold the one against him?
I won't hold the one against him.
And then
I'm okay with Bielema being number 4. I'm all right with that.
Number 5, I refuse to give Ferentz anything because he's anti-offense. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Lincoln.
You go Lincoln Riley?
I'll go Lincoln 5.
Lincoln 5
with Rule and Fish and Jonathan Smith on the outside looking in.
No Kurt Signetti. No
Signetti looking in as well.
Lighten up your SIGs for this year.
Do it 2 years in a row.
So Paul Meyerberg came out with this ranking. I think I agree with your ranking. You know, maybe nitpick a little bit here or there, but overall it's hard. Like anything you want to point to being a negative for one coach, like Lincoln Riley for whatever his last year and a half has been. Every other coach has something like that.
Also,
in their history,
Shiano.
Right?
I mean,
Shiano's been a good
laughing stock.
This gets back to us. Remember when we ranked our top 10 coaches in college football, and it's like, where do you go with overall success or doing more with less? Like, it's a very tricky sport to rank because not everybody's playing with the same amount of resources. Paul Meyerberg of USA Today came out with his Big Ten head coaching rankings, and he had Ryan Day number 1.
Mm-hmm.
No shocker there, just won a national title.
Yep.
James Franklin number 2.
Okay, so that's got to be established
longevity
at one program.
I mean, he's won 9 or 10 games every year that he's been there.
Yeah,
so I
13 games last year.
Yeah, I mean, we criticize him for not winning the quote-unquote big game, and they unquestionably had an easy path in the playoff this year. He did lose to Oregon and Ohio State in the regular season / Big Ten championship game, but he's got consistent success. I'm okay with that. Kirk Ferentz ranked number 3.
Yikes.
Dan Lanning 4, Matt Rule was number 5.
So the Ferentz thing is just simply like Iowa's been largely really consistent and in the Big Ten title game a few times, so let's give it to them, even though they've been in the worst division.
I'll pull up the article.
I know they don't do divisions anymore, but when they have
don't.
divisions, he
Legends
was in
and
the worst
leaders.
one.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
His Kirk Ferentz thing is, quote, Ferentz is the longest tenured coach in the bowl subdivision. Iowa's won at least 8 games in every non-COVID season since 2015. Has posted a losing record just once since 2006. His style of play has its detractors. You can't argue with the Hawkeyes' consistent success, punching above its weight in annual push for a major bowl game.
I think that's the other tough part is I don't know what the bar should be with Iowa because he's been there forever.
It's a good point. He's been there a very long time.
But, should your offense be better?
Yes, it should. It's inexcusable to be that bad offensively.
So if 8 wins is
in
the
2025.
bar, that means if you had a good offense, you could be a 10-win team.
He also had a nepo hire of his son as offensive coordinator, which clearly was not a good hire.
Well, it's terrible.
And he refused to move on after even all the evidence pointing to this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing on that side of the ball. Dan Lanning came in for Matt Rule number 5. Lincoln Riley was 9th on this list. Jed Fish was 15th, ranked behind Barry Odom. Make that one make sense.
That one seems very.
If you want to give Barry Odom the credit for his one good year at UNLV, that's fine. Are we not giving Jed Fish credit for his one good year at Arizona? Like, how is that not applying? Get out of here with Barry Odom being ahead of him. Jonathan Smith was 12th, ranked ahead of Sharon Moore.
Yeah, okay.
Which, I'm not
All
bad.
right.
And David Braun at Northwestern was your last place coach in the Big Ten. I love a good ranking offseason.
Northwestern's coach was last.
David Braun.
Over Maryland's?
Over Mike Locksley was 16th.
Mike Locksley has been an utter disaster. I was reading an article about the Big Ten, not this one, and it was like Maryland's thing was we won't stop anybody this year because their defense is going to blow.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
I don't even know how he's not fired. I don't know why they have a football program, Maryland.
It's one of those places that should probably just shut it down. Deshaun Foster was 17th, so your bottom 3 were Locksley, Foster, and David Braun at Northwestern.
Yeah.
So love a good ranking. Kurt Signetti was 6th. The rest of your top 10: P.J. Fleck, Brett Bielema, Lincoln Riley, and then Greg Schiano.
So where was your guy after
Dan
Ferentz?
Lanning was after Kirk Ferentz, ranked after Kirk Ferentz, which I don't think Kirk Ferentz is a terrible head coach. But if you don't have a functioning offense in 2025, I can't take you seriously.
It'd be a very biased poll question to post up for this area, obviously, but I even think haters of Dan Lanning in Oregon would laugh at that poll
Who's
question.
the better head coach?
Who would you rather have?
Kirk Ferentz or Dan Lanning?
Boy, he coaches him up to 8 wins, though.
Hey, gets those 8 wins, baby. You get those 8 wins, man.
Punts.
That'd be fun. The Big Ten head coach rankings, James Franklin, 2nd ahead of Dan Lanning and Kirk Ferentz. Let's get to stat or story. What do we got cooked up for you today? We'll find out next on The Fan.
The numbers.
There's 6,127 students at Adams, 58% of which are girls. So that's 7,107.32 boobs.
Break the news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Is it a stat or a story?
Evidence based on olfactory prowess is inadmissible, in case you didn't know.
This is Stat or Story, a monumental judgment call with Dirt and Sprague on 1080.
Come on, do math.
The Fan.
All right, stat or story time on a Wednesday, as it always is at 8:15. Does anybody want to go first? Who wants a tee box today?
I'll go first.
You want to fire away?
There we go.
Yeah, I love leading the tee box here.
Leave the tee box off.
You gonna slice that thing or set the tempo for the whole round?
What do we got?
Your number is 5.
5.
Number is 5. Is it
Okay.
the 5th time since Justify won the Triple Crown 2018? The Preakness will go on without a true shot at the Triple Crown.
Yeah, that stupid horse isn't running in the next race.
Or
Why's anybody going to watch?
is it the amount of decades a woman who disappeared from Wisconsin was found safe?
I actually read that news story.
I'm going to say stat.
I mean, just it's so dumb. Why would you not run the race? I don't get it.
Load management.
I'm just, God.
It's going to horse racing
It's
now.
just
Load
a
management.
sport that people care about for 3 days out of the year.
Remember
you
the
just
90s when all these horses played real hard? They got physical.
They had to travel on old school airplanes.
Not my secretariat. Not my goat.
That's when Baffert was using his roids.
I mean, just roid them up and get their ass back out there. I'm going to go stat 2. I'm leaning stat.
Look at that. How about that? Congratulations, you morons. Yes, it's the 5th time.
5th time.
Since the horse Justify won the Triple Crown in 2018, the Preakness will go on without a true shot at a Triple Crown.
I honestly forgot that we had a Triple Crown winner, to be honest with you.
I knew it was Justify. Couldn't remember the year.
Couldn't remember the year. When was the last one before then? Was that like a long stretch, like Russell Westbrook breaking it in the NBA?
No, I thought there was.
Was there another one more
There was a
recently?
long stretch from. It was 77 or 78 when Affirmed did it, and then there was a long stretch until the next horse did it. But
2015, American Pharaoh.
There you go.
That name I remember, yeah.
Affirmed in 1978.
American Pharaoh!
Seattle Slew in 77. Secretariat in 73. Citation, Assault, Count Fleet, Whirlaway.
So it used to happen more often, is what you're telling me?
Gallant Fox and Sir Barton. There's your Triple Crown winners.
Okay.
13 horses. Yes, this story is out of Reedsburg, Wisconsin. Audrey Backeberg disappeared from a small city in south central Wisconsin after reportedly hitchhiking with her family's babysitter and catching a bus to Indy. Nobody ever knew where she went or what happened to her. All that changed last week when she was found alive and safe in another state, thanks to eyes from a deputy who took over a case in February. There was an out-of-state arrest record that matched Backeberg, which triggered a series of investigative moves that led to finding her alive and safe in another state. She's happy, safe, and secure. Just kind of lived under the radar for that long.
That's wild.
And the investigation leads them to believe that Backeberg was escaping an abusive husband at the time. She is now living in her 80s, hanging out.
Just wanted to get away, and then they were looking for her, and she's like, well, I'm not going back.
I always thought when a missing persons case happened, like the minute that person, this is how I used to think as a kid. And when you get older and you become an adult, you realize everything's dumb and all the adults are dumb.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I used to think if there was a missing persons that's an adult, the minute they did anything, they would be alerted. They're alive. Evidently, that's not the case.
Not the case.
Social security number, all that was being used.
And they just couldn't. That's.
They
how do you not connect the dots there?
There aren't dots. I've learned as an adult all of this stuff.
Still
None of it
paying her
makes sense.
taxes. She's got a job. Like, I think this person's alive. Maybe check with the IRS. That's wild.
You didn't call him missing? She moved.
She moved.
Yeah.
She moved to a
Just
different.
moved.
Wanted to get the hell out of there, man.
All right.
That's wild. What do you got, Swag?
Your number is 6.
6.
Is it the average points scored in the fourth quarter and overtime in the playoffs by Tyrese Halliburton so far this postseason? So per game.
Both overtime and fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter, and he had the one overtime
Yeah.
game, so we'll include that.
So he's averaging 6
So
points.
after the end of 3 quarters, what's his average
Half
per
of
game?
Jalen Brunson.
Say right
Okay.
now? Orty leaning stat because he wants us to think it's going to be more than 6.
I'm going
Or
to go less than that. I'm going to go
is it
story.
the age of a son of a Kentucky woman who got a hold of her phone
Oh, God.
and managed to order some 30 cases of Dum Dum Suckers before mom could figure out what was going on and they were delivered?
Did you think that was going a different direction?
This is the problem when we all come together.
It's the exact same story.
I have the exact same story. It's my story. So I'll let you guess this.
No, I'd like your answer. What would you guess here?
I believe it's a story. I can't remember. It's his second grader.
God, it's your story and you don't know?
I mean, that wasn't my story. That wasn't a part of my story. I had a different number. I was going to do the total amount of the purchase price was going to be my number. So it wasn't the age. He's a second grader, so I'm assuming he's 6. So I'm going to go story.
Wait, second grader?
Second grader,
and
6,
you're assuming
right?
he's 6? No.
Is that not 6 years old?
You turned 6 in kindergarten.
I don't know how the ages work. Your kids have been through this. You tell me. How old
He's
is
still
6?
working on
He's in
school.
second grade.
Child.
They're not in school. How the hell am I going to figure that out?
How old do you think he's going to be when kindergarten comes around?
I mean, I assume 5, somewhere in that range.
So how is second grade 6?
I mean, you could be 6 and be in second grade. You could turn 6. Some people start kindergarten when they're 5. Don't turn 6 until they get into, like, if your birthday's in the summer.
And what grade did they?
You'll be 6 when you're in first grade, and then going into second grade, you could still be 6, depending on when your birthday is.
Your math ain't math, and those kids need to be held back a year.
Then I guess it's a store. I don't know. He's in second grade, so it's got to be a stat. I don't know. You go ahead and guess.
Your dumbness has made me.
Yeah, figure it out, Sprague. How old is second grade?
It's not 6.
Then answer the question.
So what would not second grade be?
Figure it out.
No, I'm telling you. We're working together here.
I can't answer. I'm not answering. I'm pissed. We use the same damn story. I hate this segment. This is stupid.
Okay, so it's either his averages,
His average
or the
point-
age,
or the age of the kid.
It's a stat.
Yes.
There you go.
God.
Kid's 8.
You think second graders are 6 years old?
I mean, I don't know. I don't have an elementary school age child
But
yet.
you gave a really good defense to yourself there.
I mean, I think it's probably happened. I don't know what the
For
average
genius children.
If you ask me how old is a second grader, I'm not going to be able to answer that off the top of my
I'm gonna
head.
put a
My
poll
kid's
question
not in
up.
second grade
How
yet,
old
so
is
I
a
don't
second
know.
grader? 6, 7, 9, or 5?
I mean, if you had asked me off the cuff, how old's a second grader off the top of my head, I would have told you probably 7.
Yeah. There you go.
So how old did you say this kid was?
8.
Okay. Or 9? Is 9 applicable?
Man, I held back now.
I hope not.
Now he's going the other direction?
Unless he's like an OJ or OJ Mayo, where his dad's purposely holding him back to be a freak athlete.
That's what I'm going to do with Teddy Ballgame. He's not starting until he's 8.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton in fourth quarters in the one overtime game, averaging 6 points. However, he's had 14, 9, and 11 in the last 3 games. He had 2 scoreless fourth quarters early on in their opening round series. But no, do you want to do the story now, or?
Yeah, the kid stole his mom's phone and he bought $4,200 worth of Dum Dum lollipops.
Yeah, nearly 70,000 Dum Dum lollipops showing up at her.
What's the return policy here?
She finally figured it out with the bank and Amazon, and they discovered what had happened.
Kid just wanted a Dum Dum lollipop, man.
Well,
he just
apparently,
accidentally ordered 70,000
he was
70,000
planning
cases.
to have a big carnival festival in his neighborhood with all of his buddies.
dude,
What
a lot of
app did the
lollipops.
kid order it on?
Amazon.
On Amazon.
Oh, can you accidentally order 70,000 Dum-Dums at your local convenience store?
No, you
No.
can't.
No, you cannot.
I don't think 7-year-olds know how to do that.
Well, yeah, shop local.
Figure it out, kid.
Thank you. What's your status story?
That is it. There you go. Coming up next.
I mean, we're
Sorry.
actually on the clock.
I'm
with that one.
surprised this is the first time it's actually happened.
I mean,
since
there's
we
only
started.
so many funny news stories. I saw your story. Well, we clearly are going to the same websites looking for stories for this
I'll
segment.
go way obscure next week, okay?
The only way I was obscure last
week.
week is because my dad found the story about the longest fart. That was the only reason I had one that you guys hadn't seen yet. He found that one.
6 years old in second grade. What a genius.
Somebody said my son is, where did this go? My son has an August 31st birthday, so he will be 5 all of kindergarten.
Now you can make an argument you should start later, but that's fine.
Sure. So so you turn 5, and then school starts in September.
And then he turns 6
So
in
you would
first
turn
grade.
6 in first grade. So you'd be 6 all of first grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd be 7 by the time second grade started. Well, there you go. Sadder story.
Why did you get so mad? You have a child.
I know. I don't know the ages off the top of my head.
I know. I'm just
my
4
kids,
years away.
It's going to be here soon. My kid's
Rapidly approaching.
Believe it or not quite in school yet. He's not quite there, but he's almost there.
Preschool's around the corner.
Preschool is around the corner. That I can tell you.
Scouting
3 years old is when preschool starts. That I can tell you.
Teddy has a throwing problem.
Getting him out of the house,
Blocks
man.
hit Jenny in the face.
Get your ass in school.
Yeah, but like, was it in the middle, directly where he was aiming? It appears so.
What was his spin rate?
I mean, it's a good curveball.
What was the exit velocity of her forehead?
He said, Statter story to dirt is to Sprague in the line. It is to Sprague. It is. This is stupid. I knew this was going to happen at some point. We're all coming with our own stories, and we have the same stupid story. Let's get to a little more NBA playoffs. I got a couple of football notes I want to talk about. Dive into it next. First, here's us with a FUPdate.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a historic round of golf for Oregon Ducks sophomore Kiara Romero, who set the all-time single-round low score in Oregon Duck women's golf history, a 10 under 62. She now leads after 2 rounds at the NCAA Regional down in Arizona and has vaulted the Ducks into the lead. They have a 4-shot lead over Oklahoma State going into the final round today. And Romero has a 3-shot lead in the individual championship. The top 5 teams will automatically qualify for the NCAA championship tournament in a couple of weeks.
How about this one? Researchers took a leech, they put it in a maze, and they put food at the end of the maze. Eventually, the leech figured out the route through the maze. They then took that leech, liquefied it, fed it to other leeches, and those leeches completed the maze on the first try because they have absorbed the memory of the leech they ate.
That's how the zombie apocalypse happens. They figured it out. I'm going to go to the hockey world for this one. This is kind of a trend now in the National Hockey League. We haven't talked about it. We can a little bit if we want to today. Utah Hockey Club was pretty stupid. They wanted to be the Yetis, but then the Yeti Corporation was like, no, we're the Yetis. You can't be the Yetis. So this leaked. Everybody kind of knew it, but now that we have a look at what the logo looks like and their hashtag, the Utah Mammoth Hockey Team is a great name.
It's
the
fantastic.
Logo is badass. The color scheme is great.
Everything about it.
Hashtag Tusk Up. They hit it out of the ballpark. Just like the Kraken did a couple of years ago in Seattle, Utah did it as well.
Bill Riley and the Mammoths. The only 2 things I like about Utah.
That's all they got going for them.
More women's golf, hockey, and leech stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt, missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back, the 11th annual
Thought from our new fearless leader, Dusty, the brand manager, Hera.
Oh, he's no longer the fan man. Well, I guess he could still be the fan man.
He's still the fan man.
The brand man.
He's the brand man.
Dusty the brand man Hera.
Dusty the brand man Hera says, as a teacher, my wife often wonders how on earth parents don't know what age their kids start school. Dirt's the answer. I am the answer. I mean, I've thought about this. So Teddy's birthday is at the end of January. So he'll start kindergarten when he's got to be 5.
Yes.
So he'll be one of the older kids, right? Would that make him an older
he'd
kid?
be in the middle.
Right in the middle?
Middle-ish.
Kind of a sweet spot?
He'll be middle.
Mid?
It depends. I mean,
There might be a couple birthdays.
Because my
in the
birthday's
front
at
end.
the end of the summer, so I was one of the youngest in my classes.
See, you should have started as one of the older. Is how you should have started. But we didn't know that information.
Yeah, it's better to be the older kid than the younger kid.
Well, there's a kid in my kid's grade who is basically should be a year up, but he's got a summer birthday, so his parents waited. He's like one of the smartest kids in the class.
Not a bad idea.
You have an advantage.
Probably helps you athletically,
There's a built-in
too.
advantage there.
You're a little bit older.
Yeah.
Maybe just wait till he's 6. Just to keep him around the house a little bit longer. Let him cook longer, you know what I mean?
No, I think January is a tough one to do that with.
Yeah,
it's
it's tough.
more like June,
Usually
July,
the cutoff.
August.
The cutoff was like the middle of September.
There's a weird thing in Malcolm Gladwell's book about how this impacts hockey. I can't
This
remember
is exactly how I knew about all of this.
Yeah,
was that book.
There's the birthday stretch where I think it's like January and February birthdays based on whatever.
Russia, right?
Yeah,
The
it's like
hockey
all
players
these hockey
thing,
players have their birthdays that time of year because of the age and when they start
And
playing.
some of his
all that
book,
stuff.
some of that book has been debunked in some ways. Like they've done more research on some of that stuff. But I do know a lot of people abide by the. If you can have the older kid in the class, you should
do
try
the
to have
older
the older
kid
kid
thing.
in the class. Yeah.
You don't want it to be egregious, but the older kid's better, right? A little bit bigger, a little more mature. You take that anytime.
If my kid's born after June, maybe even 1st, I would just contemplate.
Yeah, you wait.
You wait.
You do the thing where you're 5 the entire time.
Yeah.
How about this as a waste of money and acknowledging it quickly? Today, I don't know what it is about wide receivers in the NFL who have gone on to new teams and just completely flamed out. When you see the signing, you're like, that could be something. This has happened with a handful of guys, and none of them have really turned out that well. And the latest one just got cut in Jacksonville. Gabe Davis, 14 months ago, Gabe Davis, big game Gabe Davis in Buffalo, signed a 3-year contract worth $39 million. He got $24 million guaranteed. And 14 months later, he has been cut. They are going to eat $20 million in dead cap money.
Yeah.
He had only, what were his numbers this year? 20 catches for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns, and appearing in 10 games, and the Jags had a horrendous season. And so they're essentially saying, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to eat $20 million in dead money. See you later. Thanks for nothing, Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I didn't really view that signing as anything massive. That's not a big number either. And this is what you get with a new regime, is they basically have to go through and clean up all the disgusting mess that a previous regime left.
There's a lot of mess in
Trent
Jacksonville.
Baalke left a very awful situation.
Remember when they were going to keep Trent Baalke as their general manager?
Yeah, and then Liam Cohen said, I'm not taking your job unless you fire him. Okay, we'll go back on our word and we'll fire Trent Baalke.
I feel like this happened with both Charger wide receivers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Keenan Allen wasn't horrendous in Chicago last year, but I didn't feel like he was much of an impact guy. And Mike Williams in New York was a disaster.
Yeah.
And now he's back. It's just funny how some guys, you think you're getting that, wily veteran and a guy who's on a more affordable contract than some dude in the prime of his career. And for a lot of these guys, it just doesn't end up panning out. Gabe Davis did get paid, though. He got $24 million in guaranteed money, so he's doing just fine.
He'll get picked up, too.
You think the Bills go back? You think they rekindle the love?
I don't know.
Hey, come back for the cheap, Gabe. Why don't you come hang out with us?
Somebody's going to pick him up, and he got $24 million from the Jags to do nothing.
Yeah, so that happened today in the NFL. Tonight in the NBA playoffs, we continue on with an upset-riddled second round. Boston and Oklahoma City. Now, we had this yesterday. I think at the end of the show, we highlighted the point spread in each game was identical. I think it was 7.5, somewhere in that range, 6.5, 7.5.
The settings on my laptop being the Eastern time zone have thrown my ESPN.com.
Yeah, these games are starting late.
It says 7 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, 4:05 and 6:35.
Yeah, I was like, wait, 9:30? This can't be right.
You get a 9:30 tip for the second game? I ain't watching that, man. That's way too late.
Both spreads right now at 10.5.
10.5, identical lines in game twos. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I think your comparison earlier in the show is valid. Like, we've had a lot of March Madness, crazy, wacky endings, comebacks, 7 points in 50 seconds, whatever these games have been. But at some point, you would imagine in the NBA playoffs that the cream rises to the top. Like this, like you see these little bumps in the radar every now and then eventually the better team wins out and the more, whatever. Will it happen? Tonight is fascinating because if these continue, if you get a New York or a Denver win tonight, whoo, buddy, the panic in either Boston or Oklahoma City, or maybe we get a couple of blowouts and you say, oh, there they are. They're still on a collision course to play each other in the finals.
I'd be more than willing to come in tomorrow and be wrong on this because I'm rooting for the Knicks to win Game 2.
Yes.
I don't think this is a game where the Celtics miss 45 threes.
No.
I also think they attack a little bit more. They just stopped doing that. Everything was a step back three. Look, Brown's injury is very concerning for people. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis not being a rotational player right now for them is also of concern. If they don't miss 45 threes, they win that game going away.
Yeah.
So is that
They were up by 20.
Is that going to keep going? Because the Knicks got good games from Anunoby. They got great second half play from Brunson. Towns wasn't amazing, but Hart was his usual self. Bridges did some good stuff as well, too. I just look at this as like, are the Celtics going to shoot that way? I would not gamble that they will. So if you don't miss 45, instead you miss
25
or 30 even.
Yeah, which is bad, but not as bad as it was in game
like
one.
They're winning that game.
You
going
make 10
away.
more. You make 10 more of those threes that if you're going to take 50 or 60 a game.
It's a big game for Tatum. They're down a little bit. They're banged up.
I think Tatum's going to try to make an effort to go to the rack. He'll probably go to the foul line a bunch.
Well, there's those weird, I think it's Gatorade. I want to say it's Gatorade. But there's this weird ad with him where it's like they're showing highlights and in the background you hear face of the league. And
He's not even the best player on his own team.
In no way is that guy, by any realistic, serious NBA fan, the face of the league.
Jaylen Brown's been the better player both times they've been in the finals.
I know Bill Simmons wants to throw him on this list of the top-ish tier players of Jokic and Giannis and all that. Like he's a
very good player.
He's the next tier for me down, but people thrust him into this tier that I don't think is real, but it's a big game for him to perform. The other side, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. Nuggets, I didn't think played the cleanest game, and they somehow won.
No.
The Thunder still are not getting anything from Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren in the playoffs. That needs to happen. And Jokic is out here with his arm sleeve still on at a hotel bar, just like, gianting around. Like, oh, I won the game one.
Game one victory for me. Time for a beer.
Murray has a good game. You expect maybe a couple got Brown is playing really good right now. Gordon is in his zone. Jokic was just stellar. Man, I think the pressure in Oklahoma City is so much greater than it being in Boston.
I mean, Boston just won a title, so they're psychos and they'll freak out if they lose the game, but they just won an NBA championship last year.
Boston doesn't have to change anything about how they play. They just got to make more
I also
shots.
think
they've also proven that they can do it with this collection of players.
Well, I also think even if
Thunder
they go down
need to
2-0,
make some adjustments.
Boston can beat the Knicks 5 out of the next, or 4
think
out
so.
of the next 5 games.
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't think if Oklahoma City loses, they can beat Jokic 4 out of the next 5.
With
You
3 of
wouldn't
them in
think so.
Denver.
With 3 games at elevation. Let's build our hump day parlay of the day. We got to get our cup check on. We'll wrap it up on Wednesday next on The Fan. right, welcome back in. Your cup check for last night. Did we watch any of the hockey last night? You had an overtime winner in the nation's capital.
Sure didn't.
Yeah, I missed it.
I had basketball practice, so I only caught the Cavs-Pacers game, and then I got home and I had to watch the Wolves choke at home and have a piss-poor performance against the Warriors.
I saw bits and pieces on my phone.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good night of hockey. Carolina came. They scored a late third-period goal, I'd say about 9 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go to tie the game 1-1. Win it overtime. They got the game winner, so they won game one on the road. And then Edmonton
with a 3-goal third. That's their thing.
Huge.
They just kind of ease into it and then unleash the hounds in the third period.
Stone was great for Vegas, but Edmonton too much offense late. That was a nice road victory. The Oilers are now won 5 consecutive playoff games.
Aiden Hill try to snare that puck when it was 4 feet over his head?
I don't know. That was
still a ridiculous goal.
Yes, it was a ridiculous goal, but a bad attempt.
Why didn't you just let that one go to the glass?
Doesn't make a lot of sense there, Bob. I'm not quite sure, but that was last night in hockey. Tonight we get the Maple Leafs in Game 2 after a Game 1 win. Do we have an update on the goaltending situation? Back, healthy? Are we in the lineup tonight? Do we know?
He has not been ruled out.
Blue line Swigard, we're not sure. Okay.
Stoller's there.
Yep.
So I never really saw a diagnosis. I don't know if he went into concussion protocol or what they determined was his issue. But I haven't seen anything that he has scratched.
And then your nightcap is Dallas-Winnipeg. Game 1 of that series is tonight. They haven't even started
It's going to be
yet,
a scene in Winnipeg.
It's going to be pretty crazy in old Winnipeg. So you got a couple of Canadian cities hosting Stanley Cup playoff games.
Jason Robertson
tonight.
skated with the Stars yesterday.
Big news if they get him back.
Massive.
Massive news to have him back in the lineup. Yeah. Should be fun. The playoffs were great last night. They should be great again tonight.
Steph Curry over there pulling a hamstring.
Reach, stretch.
Yeah,
Timberwolves and Warriors
You can run with a hamstring injury. That's smart.
All right, I'm gonna try and cook up a Wednesday parlay of the day here. See if you guys how you feel about it. Came close last night, didn't hit.
You lost.
Losers lose. You know.
Yep.
But hey, you know what? You know what shooters do?
Shooters
shoot.
shoot.
Yeah,
which is why you're taking the Celtics and laying the points.
I
Right?
am taking the Celtics and laying the points tonight. Yeah, I am.
Big favorite, huh?
I mean, they were up by 20 in Game 1. I don't see them collapsing. They're the best team in the NBA in my mind. They have been all year, and I think they win the game probably going away tonight.
You're picking them to win it?
I am picking them to win it. I would take the Celtics minus 10.5. I think the Thunder are in their own kitchen a little bit. I think the lack of playoff success last year, followed by the choking of Game 1. Now, I would be pretty surprised if Denver takes a 2-0 series lead, but I think they can play better than they played in Game 1, sans the final 2 minutes of the game where they had that epic comeback. I think the Nuggets can cover that number. I think they keep
the
it
Nuggets
competitive.
Now,
you're giving me 10.5 with Jokic. I'm going to take it.
I think they're playing free. I think they're no longer worried about anything.
It's tonight the random Michael Porter Jr. game when you're like,
no,
well, why?
He's done. I don't think
hurt.
I think. I mean, he'll blame it on his shoulder, but no, he's done. You're going to see a lot more
I think
Westbrook.
his shoulder is hurt. I don't think he would blame. I think
he's legitimately hurt. It's not a fake injury concern.
Yeah, he's got the brace thing.
He was pretty good in Game 7 against the Clippers.
It's a pad. It's not even a brace.
Yeah, don't be a bitch. Get out there and play.
I'd watch you guys just do physical things. It'd just be great. Stop being a bitch.
We did this to Darius Garland the other day. It's a toe. Get out there and play. Don't be a pansy. It's the NBA playoffs.
No,
man.
I think that's a single-digit game.
Yeah, I see it
the
being competitive.
Thunder have to. I think the Thunder will find a way. They'll have to, find a way to win this one. They won't choke 2 free
Jokic
throws.
is just so damn good
but
right now, man.
I think Denver knows what they're doing. And I think they're done with the coaching change and all of the nonsense that's going on. They're just playing basketball now.
Okay.
They
So
weren't
we're
playing basketball before, but now they are.
Are we 2 for 2 on a show parlay so far? We like Celtics and Nugs tonight?
I'm with you right there.
Basketball Brandon agree on the games tonight?
Basketball Brandon's done.
No, basketball Brandon doesn't. You keep shooting.
Nope.
This is what we do.
Scared money, don't bet money.
You don't have to bet.
You're running 4 corners right now.
Yeah, dude.
Run that shot
Ain't
clock
no shot
down.
clock.
It pains me to do it. I think I will take the Panthers tonight on the road
Wow.
with the goaltending question mark around Toronto. I'm not going to go puck. Just give me money line. I think it's like minus 140, whatever. Sprinkle it into the parlay. And then I'm going to take the Jets at home. I'm going to take Hellebuck at home.
Yeah. Hart Trophy finalist.
Hart Trophy finalist.
Yeah.
Did he find his form at the end of Game 7?
You're going to be okay when they're down 2-0 after the first period
I
and
will
still
be very
believe
uncomfortable.
that they're coming back the way that they have most of the playoffs?
I will panic and tell them to send into the text that this bet is cooked, and then hopefully they find a way to come back.
Stars are 22-16-3 on the road.
Oh, look at you.
Just saying.
Winnipeg's got one of the best home records in the NHL this year.
37-4.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And that's 37-4, not 37.
Because that sport has ties.
37-4 would be a pretty remarkable home record.
Yes, it would.
37-4.
Yes,
is still pretty good. So there you go. That's it. That's all I got for today. I'm ran out of time. You guys got anything else? We got 2 minutes to kill. I got nothing from Basketball Brandon. He just stopped talking. He doesn't want to preview the games tonight.
Well, you guys just didn't shut up about hockey, and then Swag's like, I think the Nuggets are going to finally play basketball. They played basketball in Game 1.
They did. They played pretty good basketball in Game 1.
What would free them up? They've already won.
I'm saying all they're doing now is just playing basketball. They're not worried about anything else.
They won Game 1. They clearly weren't worried about
That's
anything.
what I'm saying.
How much is Jokic going to yell at MPJ tonight? How much yelling do we get
I don't
from
think
Jokic?
he yelled at somebody who's on the bench.
Is he not going to play at all tonight?
No, I just don't think he's going to play when it matters. So why is he going to get yelled at?
He was yelling at him on the floor in Game 1.
They'll run him out there. They'll see if he gets hot, hits a couple of threes, then great. But if
I'm seriously asking this. How does Chet Holmgren respond? He
It's a
had
great
a
question.
missed dunk. He had a missed putback dunk.
And two missed free
And he
throws.
clanked 2 free throws in the most crucial part of the game.
He did.
Also, Daigneault, promise you at this point, he has walked them through when to foul if they're up 3.
Don't foul so quickly. How about that tonight?
I don't think that they will.
Why don't we handle that situation a little bit better? We'll see if it continues, man. Didn't know what to make of the games last night, and boy, oh boy, did we get a couple of treats. Part of it was because Cleveland was banged up, but it turned out to be a great night in the NBA. Again, and we'll see if the upsets continue. So far, the underdogs are 5-0 outright.
Just a great playoff.
Not just covering the number, they're winning the game outright.
This
And
is
so,
what we love about sports.
This is
not?
it, man. Nobody has any clue what's going to happen, and I can't wait to sit down and watch it tonight. Hopefully we get 4 more good games in the Stanley Cup playoff and in the NBA playoffs. That will do it for us. We went to Oklahoma City for the Daily Ticker. If you missed it, go check the podcast, 1080thefan.com, at Turton Sprague and at 1080thefan. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That will do it for us. We will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Calling us next for listening to 1080 The Fan.